Chapter 229. The 100 members of the hunting team, including the leader and deputy leader, were all killed in less than half an hour. Oh, no. There was still one survivor. His name was Buttface, and he was in great pain. If he had a cell phone, he would have sent a message to his friends asking for help. His body was completely frozen, like a lifelike ice sculpture. Lu Qianxian was the one who sealed him, and Yang Yuhua was the one who carried him here. Now, he was placed beside a rock, surrounded by iron bone disciples, who were pointing and gossiping. Eldest senior sister is so fierce, she actually sealed a living person in ice. If I didn't see it with my own eyes, I wouldn't have believed it. Being sealed inside, it must be cold, right? It was more than cold. Buttface, who was wrapped in ice, felt as if he had fallen into an extremely cold hell and was suffering indescribable pain. If he had a choice, he would rather be shot in the head or beheaded by a sword than suffer such inhumane torture. It was a pity. He had no choice. Because he had to take full responsibility for every word he said just now. Sect leader. Li Luochio's beautiful eyes were filled with murderous intent. This guy's mouth is full of obscenities. If I don't torture him properly, I won't be able to take it. To make Hall Master Li so irritable, it was obvious that Buttface had said a lot of unsightly things when he came down. Jun Changshao said, "I'll leave it to you." Swish! Li Luochio waved her hand, and a shiny dagger appeared. Then she went to the ice sculpture and cut its arm. Crack! The ice fell, and there was flesh inside. Crack, crack, crack! Buttface's cut arm was exposed to the outside world. Before he could spew blood, it was sealed again by the cold air. Was it painful? It was super painful. It was so painful that Buttface escaped from the extremely cold hell. The pain was heart-wrenching, and his face was full of pain. Yes, it couldn't change, it was sealed in ice. Swish! 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 Li Luochio waved her dagger wildly, and the ice fell off layer by layer. Lu Qianxian stood at the side, seemingly motionless, but she had been using her cold energy to seal the man's exposed skin with a layer of ice. In front of the two women, Buttface was as good as being dismembered. Too cruel. The Iron Bone disciples, who had experienced killing, turned their heads away when they saw this frightening scene. Ling Shui. Li Luochio said, "You also come and get a piece." Ah. Oh. Ling Yuanxue took the dagger and went to the ice sculpture with her eyes closed. Then, she turned her small face and waved it. Kaka. A layer of ice wrapped around the meat and fell off piece by piece. In the end, the guy named Buttface was put to death by 1,000 cuts. There was no need to describe how painful the whole process was. In short, just as his companion had said, he really died in the hands of a woman. Yes. His wish came true. To die by 1,000 cuts under the 3 peonies, even becoming a ghost would be a tragedy. The Iron Bone disciples who participated in the killing all killed people, and some killed more than one. In this cruel world, to experience such things was undoubtedly the most normal, and it was also a kind of spiritual experience. The one who changed the most was Li Tiantian. He lay on the grass, recalling the scene of killing people just now. Although there was still some lingering fear in the beginning, he gradually realized that it was actually not a big deal. Today. Li Tiantian said to himself, "Today is the day that I, Li Tiantian, ascend." Ling Yuanxue also killed people. But she did it with the help of her senior brother. Although she was still very scared, she had unknowingly gained a lot of courage, which would definitely be helpful in the future. Sect leader. Li Luochio said, "What do we do next?" Jun Changshao lay on the stone, a green foxtail in the corner of his mouth, and said, "So many disciples have died, anyone with a bit of temper will definitely not be able to resist coming out." Black Eagle Hall. Bang! The tea table was directly shattered by Lai Haisha's palm, and his whole body was filled with terrifying anger and killing intent. He had just ordered the hunting team to take action, and the result was that they all died at the foot of the mountain, it was definitely unacceptable. If they were ordinary disciples, it would not matter. He had spent a lot of resources and effort to cultivate the members of the hunting team. Sect leader. Yang Ji frowned and said, the group that ambushed at the foot of the mountain did not come with good intentions. To be able to kill all the members of the hunting team in such a short time, and even the leader died at the mountain gate, this was definitely not something an ordinary martial cultivator could do. Mr. Yang. Lai Haisha suppressed his anger and said, who dares to provoke the Black Eagle Hall at the foot of the mountain? It's hard to say. Yang Ji had been thinking about the identity of the intruder. But after thinking for a long time, he could not figure out who it was. The vice sect leader said, some time ago, we robbed Thunderbolt Hall's goods, could it be them? Impossible. Yang Ji did not speak, and Lai Haisha denied it first. Although Thunderbolt Hall is a seventh-rate sect like the Black Eagle Hall, they do not have the ability to do so. Could it be, the vice sect leader said with a serious expression, was it done by a sixth-rate sect? Yang Ji shook his head and said, all these years, our targets were all eighth-rate and ninth-rate sects, we have never offended a sixth-rate sect. Lai Haisha said angrily, no matter who did it, they must pay a heavy price for killing our Black Eagle Hall's men. Mr. E. Do you have any good ideas? Let's counterattack. Yang Ji said, according to what I saw at the mountain gate, there are at least 70 to 80 of them. The enemy is in the dark while we are in the light, and they have powerful hidden weapons. We will be at a disadvantage if we attack them head-on. Why don't we wait for nightfall and sneak down from the back of the mountain, make sure that they have not left, and kill them all in one go? Makes sense. Lai Haisha looked at the vice sect leader and said, Sanzi, bring a few of the branch leaders and the agile disciples down from the back of the mountain, find the ambusher and send a signal. Yes. The vice sect leader quickly left. At the foot of the Black Eagle Mountain, Xiao Ziji had been holding the Type 88 sniper rifle, using the 8x scope to observe the Black Eagle Hall's mountain gate. Li Qingyang and the others spread out, paying attention to their surroundings. Jun Changshao sat on a rock and said, they haven't come out for so long, it doesn't seem like the style of the evil sections. Li Luoqiu said, our Shenwei firearms can kill without leaving a trace, they are not idiots, they will not dare to come out directly. Makes sense. Jun Changshao continued to observe the map, then pointed at the outline of the cliff and said, do you think they will come down from here and sneak behind us at night? No way. Li Luoqiu said, the cliff is as smooth as a knife, it is at least a few 100 feet high, one careless fall, even a martial master will be seriously injured. Jun Changshao shook his head and said, if there is only one way out of a sect's headquarters, it is definitely not normal, this place that seems to be the most dangerous place, maybe it is their escape route. Yang Ji was thinking about coming down from the back of the mountain, he was also thinking the same, the two of them were really telepathic. You stay here and guard. Jun Changshao said, I will take people to the back of the mountain to watch. After he finished speaking, he led Xiao Zuiji and the others in a big circle and came to the back of a cliff that was about 1,000 meters high. There was a raging torrent below. If someone fell from above, even if they didn't die from the fall, they would be washed to the ends of the earth. Night came. Head. Xiao Ziji, who had been observing above, whispered, someone is coming down. Jun Changshao leaned over, took the gun, and aimed with the 8x scope. Under the moonlight, he could vaguely see the Black Eagle Hall disciples gathering on the cliff. Then, dozens of people jumped down at the same time. Damn! Looking at the black shadows falling, Jun Changxiao's mouth twitched and said, even if it is bungee jumping, at least tie a rope to the leg. Chapter 230. The Black Eagle Hall disciple did not even tie a rope and jumped off the cliff, which made Jun Changxiao admire him very much. He did not think that these people would jump off without any safety equipment to play with extreme death, so he continued to observe with the 8x scope. Sure enough. When the Black Eagle Hall disciples landed in the air, their hands suddenly spread out and wings similar to feathers appeared. Then they glided diagonally. Jun Changxiao's mouth twitched. So there are hang gliders. This kind of thing that was common on Earth appeared in another world with a hint of black technology. It was obviously not the first time that the Black Eagle Hall people jumped off the cliff. When they opened the special hang gliders, they skillfully controlled the direction and flew to the opposite flat ground. There are so many birds. How can I not take the opportunity to shoot a few? Jun Changshao set up the Type 88 sniper rifle, opened the enhanced mode, and locked on to the head of the last person. Whoosh, pulling the trigger, the bullet silently went out and directly penetrated the disciple's head. His mind and body lost connection, and his balance was also lost. He suddenly fell into the river like a plane that had crashed. The torrent was so powerful that the people in front did not realize that their companions had been shot and washed away. They were still concentrating on controlling the two pairs of hang gliders and continued to fly to the flat ground. Whoosh! 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 Jun Changshao pulled the trigger one after another, killing more than a dozen members, and then saw them fall one by one, drifting away with the current. It was like this guy landed in advance, holding a gun and opening a plug-in to kill people who were still parachuting. The feeling was super cool. Jun Changshao did not kill all of them. He still had to leave some for his disciples, so he gave up shooting after killing more than a dozen. Ta. The Black Eagle Hall Deputy Hall Leader and several division leaders landed safely one after another. However, when they all landed, they found that more than a dozen people were missing, so they all stared at each other. Deputy Hall Leader. A division leader whispered, could it be that they made a mistake and fell into the river? It's possible. The Deputy Hall Leader said, it doesn't matter. Let's search for the people in the dark first. After finding them, we will send a signal to the Hall Leader and form an encirclement. Deputy Hall Leader. Search for a group of people and send a signal. Forming an encirclement. These keywords were all captured by the eavesdropping function of the 8x scope. Jun Changshao shook his head and said, this little trick is quite good. Vice Hall Master. This was a big fish. Jun Changshao kept his 8x scope locked onto his target. Seeing that they were heading in his direction, he gave the order to his disciples. Swish! Swish! Li Qingyang, Xiao Ziji, and the others summoned their weapons and shields. There were 23 people on Iron Bone's side. Yi Xingchen and Zhou Hong did not come along. The Black Eagle Hall also had over 20 people. The Vice Hall Master was a Grade 2 Martial Master and the 4 branch leaders were Grade 1 Martial Masters. Without 2 main attackers, it would undoubtedly be a test. However, Jun Changshao was confident that his disciple would be able to deal with them easily. After all, could these people be stronger than a high-ranked pharaoh? Deputy Hall Master, who the hell is attacking our Black Eagle Hall? On the way, one of the branch masters lowered his voice and said. Another branch master said, even group leader Ho was killed. The other party is not simple. Humph, the Vice Hall Master said coldly, how dare they come to our territory and kill our people? They must be tired of living. Swish! 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 Suddenly, a soft sound was heard. Someone is here. The Vice Hall Master whispered. In an instant, several of his subordinates and more than 10 disciples became alert. However, they narrowed their eyes and observed the surroundings. There was nothing at all. Did they hear wrongly? Swish! 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 The Black Eagle Hall people hurriedly gathered together and carefully observed the surroundings. However, they still did not see anyone. In the dark night, there was the sound of footsteps on the grass, but there was no trace. This was undoubtedly a little creepy. One of the branch leaders whispered, could it be the sound of wind? Impossible. The Vice Hall Master said firmly, it's clearly footsteps. Swish! Suddenly, a sword light flashed in the dark night. The sword light appeared very quickly. When they caught sight of it, it had already disappeared. Plop! The disciple who was walking at the back fell to the ground. His head landed somewhere unknown. Over there. One of the branch leaders caught sight of a figure that was escaping. Swish! 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 In the blink of an eye, several of his subordinates behind him threw all kinds of things over without saying anything. This reaction speed was indeed worthy of someone who frequently killed people and robbed people. Ding! 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 After Su Xiaoma killed one person, he placed the iron shield behind him while escaping, successfully blocking all the hidden weapons. No matter how fast one's reaction speed was, it was useless against a hard shield. Swish! Swish! On the other side, Li Fei used ghost walking steps to circle behind them. Then, he jumped up and did a cool volley in the air. Swish! A stone of just the right size was shot over in an arc. Its target was none other than the Vice Hall Master. Swish! Swish! The Vice Hall Master was not careless. When he saw a hidden object attacking him, he gathered the spiritual energy in his arms and formed a layer of spiritual energy around his fists. Bang! The stone was directly shattered. The Vice Hall Master took a step back with a shocked expression on his face. That was just an ordinary stone, but it contained such a strong force. How did it do it? After returning to the sect to cultivate for half a month, Li Fei had entered the 8th stage from the 7th stage. Furthermore, he had trained in the training tower. The strength of his golden right foot had reached 25,000 points. It should be known that the strength of an ordinary first-stage martial master was only about 25,000 points. What did that mean? Li Fei, who was only an 8th-stage martial disciple, was comparable to a first-stage martial master. He was already so strong, let alone Su Xiaoma, who had a supreme spiritual root. No wonder he could kill a person silently. Swish! Swish! After the two of them attacked, they did not continue to attack. Instead, they used ghost walking steps to move around, dazzling the Black Eagle squad. Let's do it, Jun Changshao said in a low voice. Li Qingyang and Xiao Ziji, who were lurking nearby, quickly rushed over. They had already spread out in advance. Once they took action, they would immediately form an encirclement. This time, Li Qingyang did not use his bare hands. He took out his cold-edged sword, locked onto the Vice Hall Master, and rushed over first. Xiao Ziji clenched his fist and locked onto the strongest of the division leaders. The Black Eagle squad naturally noticed them. Some took out their weapons, while others threw hidden weapons wildly. Unfortunately, under the protection of the solid iron shield and the seal cover, these hidden weapons with the force of tens of thousands of kilograms posed no threat at all. Swish! Li Qingyang rushed over first. He immediately used the 9 overlapping waves sword. Layers of waves spread out and entangled the Vice Hall Master in an instant. On the other side, Xiao Ziji was more direct. He rushed in front of his opponent and directly swept over with his mountain-splitting palm. The division leader sneered and used his sharp sword infused with spiritual power to meet the attack. Even though your palm is powerful, how can it be compared to my sword? Boom! The palm, which was imbued with supreme power, slammed into the sword blade and broke it. The smile on the division leader's face suddenly froze. Bang! Xiao Ziji reached out with his other hand and grabbed the falling broken sword. He leaned his body and took a step forward. The blade flashed with white light and mercilessly slashed at the division leader's neck. Thud! He steadied his body and stood behind. Pucci! The division leader's head flew out. His eyes were filled with shock. It could be seen that even before he died, he was thinking how that guy's palm made of flesh and blood could cut off his sharp sword without any damage. This was because when the strength reached the peak, the palm could be compared to the sharp sword. From the palm to grabbing the broken sword and then to the step forward to cut off the head. Xiao Ziji's movements were really clean and nimble. It could be said to be a textbook one-step kill. Chapter 231. Pucci. The Vice Hall Master at the other end was directly pierced through the chest by the cold-edged sword. Although his strength was that of a Grade 2 martial master, in the face of a Grade 9 martial disciple, Li Qingyang, he could only symbolically resist 2 moves. This was considered special care. With our great genius Li's true strength, it was enough to kill him in 1 move. Plop! The Vice Hall Master knelt on the ground, his eyes unfocused. He flew down from the cliff like a juggler, but in the end, he died just like that. This was something he did not expect at all. As for the other 3 division leaders, one was killed by Su Xiaoma, one was killed by Tian Qi, and the last one died under Long Xiang's conqueror spear. Tsk tisk. Jun Changshao touched his chin and said, "That kid's strength is not bad." If Long Xiang heard this, he would definitely cry. Sect leader, my strength has always been very strong, but when I was in Death Valley, the performance of the inner sect senior brothers was more and more monstrous, and my brilliance was completely overshadowed. Witnessing the Vice Hall Master and Division Leader being killed, the Black Eagle Hall disciples' eyes were filled with shock, and their hearts were filled with the intention to retreat. Retreat? That was impossible. The moment they jumped down from the cliff, they were already destined to die. Not to fall to their deaths, but to be killed. Puchi! Puchi! Zhang Wei and the other 10 disciples held the cold-edged sword and Overlord Qi like wolves and tigers, killing with powerful strength. Ka ka ka! Lu Qianqian raised her right hand with a bracelet, and cold air filled the air, instantly freezing an enemy, and said, "Junior Ling, go and kill him." Okay, Ling Yuanxue carefully walked over with her sword, and then waved her sword to kill. When she killed but face just now, her eyes were still closed. Now that she could open them, it was the best proof of her growth. Under the cruel and merciless slaughter of the Iron Bone disciples, all the people of Black Eagle Hall fell to the ground, and not a single one was left alive. As usual, everyone began to search and found a lot of space rings. Needless to say, the people of Black Eagle Hall, especially the few division leaders, really had goods in their rings. Just the banknotes alone were worth 70 to 80,000, and there were also quite a few crystal cores. Jun Changshao kept all the items and said, "Robbing these evil sects is also a way to make money." Sect Master. Su Xiaoma found something that looked like a torch on the Vice Hall Master's body and asked, "What is this?" Jun Changshao took it and observed it carefully. Maybe it's a signal gun or something like that. Thinking of what the Deputy Hall Chief had said, he understood that the people in the Black Eagle Hall's base camp should be waiting for the people below to send the signal, and then lead the people to attack and form a siege. This was an opportunity. He could make good use of it. Jun Changshao said, "Male disciples, take off their clothes and change into them." Yes. Even though they didn't understand what he meant, the disciples still obeyed his instructions. Soon, Li Qingyang, Xiao Ziji and the others put on the Black Eagle Hall uniform with the word Eagle engraved on it. Although it did not fit them well, it was still acceptable. "I'll go." Su Xiaoma pinched his nose and said, "What a strong smell of fox." "Let's go." Jun Changshao said, "Let's go back." Everyone went back the way they came. After meeting up with the Drizzle Hall, Jun Changshao said, "Did anyone come out of the mountain gate?" "No." Li Luoqiu said. When she saw Li Qingyang and the others wearing the Black Eagle Hall uniform, she was puzzled. "Sect Master, are you going to let them sneak in?" "No." Jun Changshao sat on a rock, thought for a while, and said, "Lure all the rats down." Li Luoqiu was confused. Jun Changshao summoned the disciples in front of him and began the next step of deployment. "Do you understand?" "Understood." Everyone said in unison. Jun Changshao jumped down from the rock, and then led everyone to a more hidden area, and took out something like a torch. "How do I use it?" He played with it for a while and found that the bottom was a little loose. He tried to press it down, and a strange smoke immediately spewed out from the front. Sect Master Jun was afraid that it was poisonous, so he hurriedly held his breath. He was overthinking. The smoke was not poisonous, but it carried a faint smell. It floated towards the Black Eagle Mountain like dust, and finally merged into the main hall. Lai Haisha, who was waiting anxiously, smelled the smell and grinned. The deputy hall master has sent the signal. Mr. Yang, can we take action now? Yes, Yang Ji said. Swish! Lai Haisha strode forward and snapped his fingers. More than 300 disciples rushed out of the inner courtyard. They did not go out from the main door, but jumped over the wall and followed the hall master down the stone stairs. It really is a signal gun. Jun Changshao, who was on the tree, was wearing dazzling sunglasses. He saw a group of people coming down through the eightfold vision. The strongest among them was a peak-stage martial master with a high-grade spiritual root. He should be the hall master of the Black Eagle Hall. It was already very good for a leader of a seventh-rate sect to have the cultivation of a peak-stage martial master. After all, Qin Haoran, who was a sixth-rate sect leader, had just entered Wuzong. Of course. Jun Changshao knew that the hall master of the Black Eagle Hall was strong not because of his talent, but because of his evil cultivation techniques. Therefore, he had to be serious when facing such a sinister opponent. Zhou Hong. Jun Changshao said, there is a peak-stage martial master among the people coming down. I'll leave it to you later. Okay, Zhou Hong replied. After this swordsman returned to the sect, he did not go to the trial tower to train. Instead, he focused on comprehending the Ling Jian divine technique. Although it had only been half a month, it was obvious that he had made good progress from the sword aura in his eyes. Jun Changshao had also asked him if he was not going to temper his body. Zhou Hong's answer was, when a swordsman is comprehending the way of the sword, it is equivalent to tempering the body. How could one temper by just standing there? Jun Changshao could not understand this special profession, so he believed in Zhou Hong. Sect leader. Yi Xingchen said lightly, junior brother Zhou doesn't need to do anything. I can take care of that peak-stage martial master. This is the leader of an evil sect. Who knows if he has any sinister martial arts techniques? Jun Changshao said, are you sure? I'm sure, Yi Xingchen said lightly. A seventh-rate evil sect leader was nothing to him. In the past, he had killed many evil sect leaders Wu Huang and Wu Sheng. In that case, Jun Changshao said, I'll leave the leader to you. After making the arrangements, he said, everyone, follow the plan. Yes. The members of the Drizzle Hall moved the Black Eagle Hall's Vice Hall Master and his subordinates over. These corpses had already changed into Iron Bone's school uniform. Then, someone fell to the side and pretended to be dead. Yes. They were pretending to be dead. Li Qingyang and the others held the Black Eagle Hall's weapons and pretended to be facing each other. It was as if the two sides had fought. The Iron Bone disciples were either dead or injured. The one who pretended the most was Li Tianshang. He lay on the ground with his mouth crooked and his tongue out, like a hanged ghost. The most professional was Viper and the others. They fell beside the Vice Hall Master and even smeared blood on their faces. Shwa! 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 Behind them, on the stairs leading to Black Eagle Mountain, Lai Haisha rushed down with his disciples and followed the smell. Relying on the moonlight, he vaguely saw his own people and the corpses lying on the grass. What was going on? Had Sanzi and the others already made a move first? Damn it! He thought they were some great people, but it turned out that they could easily take care of them by going around from the back. Thinking of how he had been holding back on the mountain for half a day, Lai Haisha shouted angrily, surround them and chop them all into pieces. Yes. The disciples sped up. However, only Yang Ji frowned. He felt that the situation was not right, or rather, it should not be so smooth. Shwa! Lai Haisha had already rushed to the front of the first corpse. He took out his weapon and slashed at the back. He smiled with satisfaction, Sanzi, well done. However, the Vice Hall Master's back was still facing him. Lai Haisha was puzzled and walked over. But just as he took a step, Yang Ji exclaimed behind him, Hall Master, he's not, bang. The stream photon bullet shot out and directly penetrated his head. Before Yang Ji could finish his words, his eyes had already lost focus and he fell straight to the ground. After killing this incompetent advisor, The disciples who were lying on the ground pretending to be dead jumped up one after another. The members of the Drizzle Hall who were hiding in the distance also appeared. Disciples, listen to my orders. Jun Changxiao's cold voice resounded in the mountains, kill all these evil people. Yes. Chapter 232. Jun Changxiao asked his disciples to pretend to be members of Black Eagle Hall because it was dark. If it was half a day, they would have been seen through immediately. Yang Ji noticed something, but as soon as he opened his mouth to warn them, he was shot in the head by Li Luoqiu. When he fell to the ground, Lai Haisha and his men were stunned. Whoosh! The disciples who were playing dead on the ground stood up and took out their weapons. Disciples, listen up. Jun Changxiao said coldly, kill all these evil people. Yes. The disciples unleashed their psionic energy and charged forward. Although they were far less than the 300 members of Black Eagle Hall in terms of numbers, they were not afraid at all after a few killings. Sanzi. Lai Haisha said in a low voice, what's going on? This guy had not realized that he had fallen into a trap when he brought his disciples down the mountain. Li Qingyang, who was disguised as the deputy hall master, turned around and poured his psionic energy into the cold-edged sword, reflecting his appearance. Lai Haisha saw this and said coldly, you're not Sanzi. Sanzi? You're talking about him, right? Li Qingyang kicked the corpse under his feet over. Lai Haisha saw Sanzi's face through the sword aura, and his eyes were filled with anger. Puchi! At this moment, a sound came from behind. The sword in Viper's hand pierced through the chest of a Black Eagle Hall disciple. He was injured by Li Tian but did not make a move. He must be suppressing his anger and wanted to vent it out. With the first disciple killed, the battle between the two sects officially began. Psionic energy exploded from both sides, and the battle became a mess. Black Eagle Hall, which had the advantage in numbers, should be able to counterattack easily, but when they fought with Iron Bone disciples, they suddenly felt a lot of pressure. Especially the disciples who were holding swords and sabers, their weapons were broken by Zhang Wei and the others. They were dumbfounded on the spot. Puchi! Puchi! Sword aura flashed, and broken limbs flew everywhere. In just one round, more than 30 disciples of Black Eagle Hall died. With the double suppression of cultivation and equipment, even if they had the advantage in numbers, they were just a bunch of weeds. These people had died with a clear conscience. Following that, many of the Black Eagle Hall disciples died unjustly. They were either killed by hidden weapons or sneak attacks. The members of Drizzle Hall moved around the battlefield like ghosts. They fully displayed their skills as assassins, and it was really impossible to guard against them. Sword radiance, spear radiance, and various hidden weapons flashed frequently on the battlefield. The disciples of Black Eagle Hall were mercilessly slaughtered and fell one by one. Lai Haisha still stood where he was. He didn't make a move because his gaze was locked onto Li Qingyang, and the killing intent in his eyes grew more and more intense. The hunting team had been annihilated right in front of their own home, and the vice hall master had been killed. It was truly unbearable and unacceptable. Hoo-hoo! As he clenched his fists, a blood-red stream of air emanated from his body, giving off a sinister aura. Hey! Yi Xingchen walked over and stood in front of him. He said proudly, your opponent is me. Junior brother, I'll leave it to you. Li Qingyang said, I'll go deal with the others. As he spoke, he used his movement technique to go around them. Then, he charged into the group of enemies and started a crazy massacre. Zhou Hong also joined the battle. This guy was really ferocious. He seemed to be strolling leisurely, but in a breath, he had slashed dozens of times. The surrounding disciples of Black Eagle Hall fell to the ground one after another, with fine sword marks on their necks. The sword was so fast that even the sword radiance couldn't be seen. TSK. Jun Changxiao said, he can probably kill all the disciples of Black Eagle Hall here by himself. This is my Iron Bone's strongest attack. Are you afraid? Afraid? The disciples of Black Eagle Hall were very afraid. They had originally wanted to stabilize the situation and organize an effective counterattack, but when they saw Zhou Hong kill dozens of people with one strike, their eyes were suddenly filled with horror. In a battle between two armies, morale was the most important. Now, seeing so many of their companions die, the disciples of Black Eagle Hall immediately suffered a heavy blow. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Li Qingyang, Xiao Ziji, and the others sped up their killing speed. Wherever they went, they killed with one strike. The sect leader had just said that he wanted to kill all these evil people, so the only thing he could do was to make sure that they didn't even have a chance to escape. Black Eagle Hall realized that their opponents were too strong, and hurriedly pulled back their defense line and gathered together. Boom! 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 Yang Yuhua raised her iron shield and rushed in like a wild bull. In an instant, more than 10 enemies were sent flying and the defense line was torn apart. Long Xiang and the others held their guns and went forward, killing the disciples of Black Eagle Hall like a whirlwind. For a moment, broken limbs and blood flew in the air. Unfortunately, it was night time. If it was daytime, the scene of them cutting down the grass would be even more shocking. Seeing how terrifying they were, the disciples of Black Eagle Hall were even more shocked. Like frightened mice, they all shrank together. In this way, they would only be surrounded by iron bone and would not even have a chance to escape. They couldn't just sit there and wait for death. They had to fight back. A leader shouted angrily, "Kill, bang!" A bullet pierced through his head, and his body fell to the ground. Li Luoqiu, who was standing on a tree, smiled and said, "I specialize in killing the bird that sticks out." Boom! Boom! Yang Yuhua raised her iron shield and formed a seal shield around her body. She was like a bulldozer, knocking away all the Black Eagle Hall disciples wherever she went. Long Xiang and the others followed all the way, like sharp spears, constantly killing their targets. Just like this, they charged back and forth a few times and killed 50 to 60 people. Counting it. In a short time, more than 100 of the 300 disciples of Black Eagle Hall had died. Corpses were scattered everywhere, like a slaughterhouse. Jun Changshao watched from the side and muttered, based on their efficiency, they should be able to finish them all in half an hour. As he spoke, he looked at Lai Haisha. The disciples were killed one by one, but he still stood in the same place. However, the blood-red light gathered in his fist became more and more intense. Yi Xingqian raised his eyebrows and said disdainfully, "Are you using a martial technique?" Was he seen through? It didn't matter, because he had already finished accumulating power. Ta! Lai Haisha suddenly turned around and angrily waved his fist that was condensed with violent blood-red power. He shouted angrily, "Today, all of you will die." Boom! The fist hit the void. Whoosh whoosh! A gust of wind suddenly blew and evil energy spread. At the spot where Lai Haisha had hit, a huge blood-red fist appeared out of thin air and blasted toward the iron bone disciple behind him. He didn't have the time to fight with Yi Xingqian alone. He had to use an explosive evil martial technique to kill all the enemies behind him and reverse the defeat of his disciples. Whoosh whoosh! The 3-meter-long blood-red fist was like a small mountain. It swept across the grass and a powerful force burst out. Everywhere it passed, it immediately formed a ditch. It was strong and fast. The people who were crazily killing the Black Eagle Hall disciples turned around and their expressions changed. Whoosh! Xiao Ziji rushed over and erected his iron shield in front of him. Courting death. Lai Haisha sneered in his heart. His blood explosion fist had been accumulating power for a long time and its strength had reached more than 100,000 pounds. It was comparable to a grade 1 martial master. How could that guy resist with a shield? Boom! The blood-red fist directly hit the shield. Lai Haisha's eyes gradually widened and his gaze was filled with horror. Chapter 233. The previous leader of the Black Eagle Hall had obtained an upper-grade mental cultivation technique and an upper-grade fist technique. The mental cultivation technique was called the blood demon scripture. It could forcefully reverse the flow of blood and increase one's cultivation. With this mental cultivation technique, the disciples of the Black Eagle Hall could increase their cultivation without sufficient resources. Lai Haisha had a deep understanding of the blood demon scripture, which was why he was able to break through to the peak of martial master. As for the fist technique, it was called the blood explosion fist. This technique needed to be paired with the blood demon scripture to stimulate the blood in one's body. It could release a bloody fist with explosive power. The disadvantage was obvious. It needed time to accumulate power. While the disciples were being slaughtered, Lai Haisha was accumulating power and finally released it. With the support of his cultivation and martial arts, the huge bloody fist that was condensed had a force of more than 100,000 pounds. It was comparable to an ordinary rank 1 wuzong. If it touched the disciples' iron bone, they would definitely be blasted into pieces. At the critical moment, our main tank, Xiao Ziji, stood in the path of the bloody fist with his iron shield, protecting the juniors behind him. The disciples who were a little flustered suddenly felt a strong sense of security when they saw their seniors standing in front of them. Xiao Ziji, who dared to use his broken body to withstand hundreds of thousands of pounds of force in front of the fire dragon, looked at the blood explosion fist with disdain. He didn't even activate his defensive barrier. This was too disrespectful to the opponent and the martial arts of the evil sects. Boom! In the end, the bloody fist that was the size of a small mountain smashed into the solid iron shield, and a wave of evil chi spread out in all directions. Xiao Ziji stood in place as steadily as Mount Tai and took all the force of the explosion. Even if the fist's force was more than 100,000 pounds, as long as it wasn't as strong as the fire dragon, it was impossible to shake him. Lai Haisha, who had absolute confidence in the blood explosion fist, widened his eyes in disbelief. His fist was comparable to a rank 1 wuzong. The young man who was charging at him was only a martial disciple. How could he take it with just a shield? Ta! Xiao Ziji took a step forward and pushed the bloody fist back half a meter. Then, his muscles and veins popped out. He suddenly exerted force and pushed the fist back. Boom! The bloody fist smashed into an unoccupied mountain rock, instantly shattering it. Due to the weakening of its power, it dissipated. Lai Haisha was dumbfounded. Not only was his blood explosion fist blocked, but he was also pushed back. This was simply unimaginable. Whoosh! Suddenly, a sword light flashed behind him, causing his pupils to shrink. He hurriedly used his body movement technique to dodge. Yi Xingqian held his sword and walked over step by step. His eyes were cold and sharp. I've already said that I'm your opponent, yet you're using your martial skill to attack someone else. Are you looking down on me? Bastard! He said coldly, die. Swoosh! Shwa! Whoosh! He waved his sword 3 times in a row, and 3 sword lights burst out, as if it was a spiritual energy martial skill. Jun Changshao was astonished. That guy seemed to have casually slashed out 3 times with his sword, but why did the sword light he formed look so much like my slash? That's what I'll do. When Yi Xingqian was cultivating, he had an idea and cleverly used it on his sword. Needless to say, this kind of spiritual energy martial skill could not only be used alone, but it was also very compatible with weapons. After it was combined with the sword chi, its power was greatly increased. Not good. Lai Haisha's expression changed drastically. He hurriedly activated his blood and used his body movement technique to dodge. This was the support of an evil sect's body movement technique. If it were an ordinary person, they would not be able to dodge and could only take it head-on. After killing an enemy, Li Qingyang happened to see junior brother Yi use his sword chi. His eyes suddenly flashed with a hint of realization. So, my slash could be used like this. Swoosh! He poured his spiritual energy into his sword and silently chanted the chant of my slash. He shouted, slash! Whoosh! The martial skill and sword chi instantly merged perfectly. A sword light burst out and attacked at an extremely fast speed, instantly killing an enemy 20 meters away on the spot. Damn! Seeing this, Su Xiaomo exclaimed, so powerful. I'll cut, cut. He followed suit and fused his martial arts technique with the cold-edge sword. Instantly, he slashed out 3 spiritual energy sword chi and swept across the grass. Puchi! 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 The 3 disciples of Black Eagle Hall could not escape and were killed on the spot by the unparalleled sword chi. When Li Fei, Tian Qi, and the others saw this, they immediately followed suit. In an instant, all the Iron Bone disciples brandished their swords, condensing a long-range attack that was suitable for long-range attacks. He made a move with his sword. This I behead could be considered a true I behead. Jun Changshao said, I didn't expect that the martial arts modified by the mysterious Almighty could be applied to weapons. Nonsense. The system said, otherwise, how could it be described as all-knowing? Jun Changshao stroked his chin and said, Xing Chen is pretty smart. He actually thought of using it on a weapon. In terms of martial arts attainments, Night Emperor was truly smart. However, due to the limitations of his body and the fact that he had just been reborn, it was difficult for him to display many of his strengths. This attainment was especially outstanding in actual combat. After the attack, he rushed over with the crossing dragon and slashed at the dodging Lai Haisha. Although the martial arts techniques of the evil sect martial artists were evil, they all had a common problem. The greater the power, the longer it took to store up power. As long as he closed in step by step and did not give him a chance to use it, it was equivalent to wasting half of his martial arts. As expected, Lai Haisha hurriedly dodged and could not divert his attention to use his martial arts. Yi Xingqian seized this opportunity and instantly closed in. His wrist shook frequently and sword light flashed one after another. Bang! 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 The sword chi scattered and blasted on the grass, showing long and deep sword marks. Although Lai Haisha could rely on his body technique to dodge, he was still in a difficult position. At this time, the disciples of Iron Bone used their weapons to execute, I behead, and frantically killed the remaining members of Black Eagle Hall. Especially the members of Drizzle Hall, after mastering the spiritual energy martial arts techniques, they relied on their body techniques to constantly move and use their weapons to attack. It was as if they had set up an inescapable net. What awaited the disciples of Black Eagle Hall was only death. Their morale was already greatly reduced. Now that they saw the sword chi flying around, their frightened eyes were filled with despair. In the end, they were tragically killed. After using I behead, it was easier for Iron Bone to cut the grass. So when Yi Xingqian's side started fighting, more than 100 members of Black Eagle Hall died. When Lai Haisha dodged, he saw that more than 300 disciples were left with only 100 left. He immediately roared with his eyes wide open. These were the main disciples. With so many dead, the sect's vitality would definitely be greatly damaged. Whoosh! The sword chi attacked even faster than before. Puchi! Lai Haisha could not dodge in time. His right shoulder was scratched and blood gushed out. At this time, he finally realized that he should not be thinking about the sect, but how to survive. Retreat! As soon as the thought arose, he put it into action. The blood in his body burned crazily, and he was about to use the sect's body technique to escape. If his opponent was Li Qingyang, he might succeed. However, his opponent was Yi Xingqian. When he felt the evil aura erupting, he immediately stepped forward. His wrist shook quickly, and he used the linear speed formula. Whoosh! 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 Sword chi shot out one after another. There were a total of 35 sword chi. In Death Valley, Yi Xingqian used 30 sword chi in one breath. Now, there were 5 more sword chi. This meant that half a month of body tempering did not waste his comprehension of Ling Jian's divine technique. Lai Haisha, who had just stimulated his blood and wanted to escape, felt the sword chi behind him. His pupils suddenly shrank. He unwillingly shouted in grief, "No, Puchi! Pucci, 35 sword chi intertwined and instantly cut the Hall Master of Black Eagle Hall into 8 pieces. The moment he died, an old man who was cultivating in a secret room suddenly opened his eyes. He was filled with murderous intent. Who dares to kill my beloved disciple? Chapter 234. After Lai Haisha was cut into pieces by Yixingchen, an old man thousands of miles away seemed to have felt it. His eyes were filled with killing intent. He was the first Hall Master of Black Eagle Hall. No one knew what his real name was. The disciples called him Hall Master, and the evil sects called him Elder Ghost. Why was he called Elder Ghost? Because the first Hall Master had a strong understanding of movement techniques. When he used it, he was like a ghost. Lai Haisha was Elder Ghost's favorite disciple. He went out to comprehend higher martial arts and passed the sect to him. Now that he suddenly lost contact, he realized that something bad had happened. Who dared to kill my favorite disciple? Elder Ghost's gloomy eyes flashed with killing intent. He broke out of the cave and ran like a ghost in the night. He was heading towards Huaying County. That speed, that movement technique. It was worthy of the word ghost. Elder Ghost's strength was not bad. After he left his position as Hall Master, he had been comprehending the blood magic scripture. He had already broken through to the 3rd rank Wu zone. Those who killed my disciple will be punished by the 9 generations of their family. They will never be reincarnated. In the wilderness, there was a voice filled with endless anger, causing the beasts to flee. At the foot of Black Eagle Mountain. After Lai Haisha was killed, the Black Eagle Hall disciples who were still fighting like cornered beasts had completely collapsed. In the end, they were all killed on the spot by the Iron Bone disciples. At this point, a 7th-rate evil sect, along with the Hall Master and the sect's elites, were all killed. There were still people from the sect on the mountain, but they were just a bunch of small fries. Search. After everything was done, Jun Changshao said. The disciples quickly started to loot the bags and collected a lot of space rings. Blood magic scripture, blood explosion fist, blood explosion step. Jun Changshao merged with Lai Haisha's ring and found the 3 top-rank evil sect techniques of Black Eagle Hall. Although they were useless, he still kept them in his space ring. Martial arts techniques could only be considered too little, but not too much. The system said, evil sect techniques take the extreme path. Host, it is best not to cultivate them so as not to kill your future martial arts. I know what to do, Jun Changshao said. After searching all the disciples, he used the exquisite fire to burn all the corpses. Only then did he look at the Black Eagle Hall on the mountain and said coldly, go up the mountain and exterminate the sect. Yes. The disciples rushed forward. Black Eagle Hall, a 7th-rate sect, had a total of 500 to 600 people. The Hall Master and the elites had all been killed, so there were not many left in the headquarters. When Xiao Ziji smashed open the door with a heavy punch, all the Iron Bone disciples rushed in and wiped them out. If they were from a righteous sect, Jun Changshao might have kept them alive. However, killing these evil sect disciples was the best choice. Same old rules, continue searching. Not long after, Su Xiaoma found the Black Eagle Hall's treasury first. Pushing open the heavy stone door, he was greeted by a sea of dazzling jewels. He couldn't even open his eyes. I'll go. After getting used to it, Su Xiaoma looked at the mountain of gold and silver and said in disbelief, so much gold and silver. Jun Changshao rushed over when he heard the news. After a rough estimation, the value should be around 10 million taels. He couldn't help but sigh, this 7th-rate sect is quite rich. The Black Eagle Hall was a robber, so they must be rich. Unfortunately, they didn't have the life to spend it. They were all taken away by Jun Changshao. After that, a disciple found a secret room in Lai Haisha's residence. There were more than 500 spirit stones inside. Needless to say, they were all taken away. After a round of looting, all the valuables of the Black Eagle Hall, including martial techniques and weapons, were all taken away by Jun Changshao. The spatial ring that increased the storage space by 5 times suddenly became much more abundant. OJ8K, retreat. Whoosh whoosh. When everyone went down the mountain, the Black Eagle Hall's headquarters suddenly burst into flames. The building that had been built for 100 years was burned to ashes. It was not hard to imagine that when the people of Huayin County knew that the 7th-rate evil sect was destroyed, it would definitely cause a huge uproar. Cousin, I will avenge you. When all the people of Iron Bone Hall had retreated, a martial artist clenched his fist and came out from a dark stone. With the help of the night light, one could see that this person was the green scarf martial artist Dai Lu that Jun Changshao had beaten up when he went to Qingyang City to recruit disciples. After the Spirit Springs sect was destroyed, didn't he go to join the Sacred Springs sect? Yes. Dai Lu went to join them. After passing a difficult test, he became an inner disciple. The inner disciples were of a lower rank than the outer disciples. What they did every day was either chopping wood, carrying water or running errands. They were no different from servants. In order to avenge the former patriarch, Dai Lu worked hard and cultivated wholeheartedly. Now he had opened 10 meridians. Half a month ago, the sect had a mission to send a letter to Huayin County. He rushed over. After he finished, he prepared to return. In the city, he met his cousin and learned that he had joined the sect. He followed him to visit the Black Eagle Hall. Dai Lu's cousin wanted to take the opportunity to persuade his cousin to let him join the Black Eagle Hall. Who would have thought that, on the second day, the sect would be destroyed? As for Dai Lu, because he drank some wine with his cousin and went to pee at night, he walked in a daze and wandered around the back of the mountain for half a day. Then he heard the screams of the sect. His drunkenness dissipated and he cleverly hid. Later, Jun Changshao left with his disciples. With the help of the flame, he saw his appearance and immediately recognized that he was the murderer of the Spirit Springs sect. Dai Lu was really something. Our sect master Jun crossed over to the other world and destroyed 2 sections. He was present at the scene and he even survived. So sometimes, when luck comes, you can't die even if you want to. When luck is bad, you can be killed by a falling plaque when you go out to pee. Jun Changshao. Dai Lu clenched his fist, roaring in his heart, "You killed my grandmother's mother's father's second uncle's sister-in-law's brother. This hatred is absolutely irreconcilable. Cousin." He turned around and looked at the monstrous flame, secretly swearing, "I will take revenge for you." Dai Lu was also very smart. He did not leave immediately, afraid that Iron Bone's people were waiting below. So he hid in the dark and only hurried down the mountain when the sky was about to brighten. However, just as he walked down the mountain pass, a cold wind blew over. A black-haired old man suddenly stood beside him, his eyes flashing with a terrifying killing intent. Dai Lu, who was originally worried about being discovered by Iron Bone, suddenly discovered that someone had appeared out of thin air. He said in horror, "Ghost, Pa!" Ghost Elder quickly rushed over and grabbed his neck. A strange aura instantly enveloped him and seeped into his sea of consciousness. This was an extremely tyrannical evil technique that could absorb memories. The user could forcibly search the target's memories and obtain the information they wanted. A moment later, Ghost Elder released his hand, his eyes gloomy. "Iron Bone, not only did you kill my beloved disciple, you also destroyed my Black Eagle Hall. This old man will repay this debt 1,000 times. Shwa!" As soon as he finished speaking, he disappeared. The location he went to was the Azure Sun County. Obviously, he wanted to take revenge for his beloved disciple and sect. As for Dai Lu, after his memories were forcibly extracted, his entire body collapsed on the ground. He hugged his head and howled in pain. His consciousness gradually disappeared. There were 2 outcomes for having one's sea of consciousness forcefully extracted by an evil technique. The first was to lose one's mind and become crazy. The second was to die on the spot. I'm going to die." Dai Lu, who still had a trace of consciousness, could deeply feel his life slipping away bit by bit. He didn't want to die before taking revenge for the former patriarch and his cousin. A strong desire to live rose in his heart, but it was difficult to reverse the loss of his life. Death was getting closer and closer. I don't want to die. I'm not willing. Suddenly, Dai Lv's entire body was enveloped by a green light. Even his black hair had turned a glossy green. The life force that was about to dissipate also slowly recovered miraculously. Chapter 235. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing the hidden quest, punish the evil and eliminate the evil. Ding! Sect contribution points, 7801000. This was the system notification that came from the mountain road after Jun Changshao set fire to the Black Eagle Hall. Previously, when he destroyed the Black Wind Stockade, he completed a mission of eliminating evil for the people. Today, when he destroyed the Black Eagle Hall, he completed a mission of punishing the evil and eliminating the evil. It seems that the system wants me to be a person who upholds justice on behalf of the heavens. Upholding justice on behalf of the heavens? I wonder if there's such a hidden quest. On the way back to the Azure Sun County, Jun Changshao kept thinking about idioms, such as waiting for rabbits to appear, pulling up seedlings to help them grow. However, there were too many idioms. Who knew which one was the quest and how to complete it? Sigh. He sighed and said to himself, I have no idea at all. The system said, the hidden quest is up to fate, there's no need for the host to think about it. Alright. Jun Changshao said, after we return, we can only rely on recruiting disciples to earn contribution points. Without a moment's rest, he brought his disciples back to the Azure Sun County. After they had left for 4 to 6 hours, Elder Ghost chased after them from 1,000 miles away and obtained everything from Dai Lu's memories. His disciple was killed, his sect was destroyed. All of this was related to the Iron Bone, so he chased after them and secretly swore that he would pay them back 1,000 times over. However, what Elder Ghost did not expect was that the ant-like martial cultivator that he had extracted from his memories actually did not die. Instead, he miraculously survived. When his life force became vigorous again, Dai Lu, who was lying on the ground, also had a dazed look on his face. He really didn't understand how he could still be alive. Could it be that his own misery and unwillingness had deeply moved the heavens? Dai Lu gently raised his hand and discovered that his skin had already changed from green to normal. He couldn't help but think to himself, what was that green light just now? Shwa! He jumped up, and after confirming that he was safe and sound, he hurriedly left the Black Eagle Mountain. On the way, he secretly swore, Jun Changshao, and that ghost-like guy, just you wait. Who? Right at this moment, Elder Ghost appeared before him without anyone noticing, and he said with surprise, you're actually still alive under my soul assimilation technique. Little fellow, you're not simple. Dai Lu's expression changed greatly. In the next second, he turned around and fled. Unfortunately, just as he turned around, Elder Ghost had already stretched out his hand. This time, he didn't grab him by the neck, but by the head. He said sinisterly, this old man wants to take a good look at what secrets you're hiding. Who? Casting the mind-manipulating technique, it instantly poured into his sea of consciousness. Dai Lu, who had experienced it once, begged for mercy in horror, say. Senior. Don't kill, ah. The blood-curdling screams resounded in the night sky, making one's hair stand on end. Plop. His knees hit the ground, and then he collapsed to the ground. The one on the ground was not Dai Lu, but Elder Ghost. His eyes were wide open as he lay on the ground. His body was shrouded in green light. His limbs began to shrink rapidly until all that was left was skin and bones. Whoosh, the green light flew up and quickly merged into Dai Lu's body. Who? In an instant, pure spiritual energy gathered in his dantian. Not only did it quickly open his 11th and 12th meridians, it also helped him condense a cyclone, breaking through to 7th grade martial disciple. The whole process happened in an extremely short time. When everything was over, Dai Lu, who was still begging for mercy, saw the old man die in front of him like a dried corpse. He was so scared that he sat on the ground paralyzed. What? What happened? Feeling the strong energy gathering in his body, he was dumbfounded on the spot. After a long while, when Dai Lu had completely adapted to it, he was sure that he had suddenly become stronger. Furthermore, it wasn't just by a little bit. Suddenly, he realized that his hands had turned green again. The area his palms were pressing on was quickly withering, as if they had lost their life force. At the same time, a weak spiritual energy entered his body from his palms. Although it didn't have much effect, he could clearly feel it. Dai Lu instantly understood. Could that weak spiritual energy come from the flowers and plants? When he touched them, could it be that he had absorbed the spiritual energy within them? Looking at the old man beside him who was like a dried corpse, his gaze gradually turned from sluggish to ecstasy. In the end, he couldn't help but secretly say, "I can devour other people's spiritual energy." In order to confirm his guess, Dai Lu hurriedly stood up and walked in front of a large tree. He placed his palm on the bark of the tree. As expected, the moment his green palm came into contact with the tree, it quickly absorbed the life force within. The originally thriving towering tree quickly withered, and the yellowed leaves fell down in patches. At the same time, the absorbed spiritual energy turned into energy and merged into Dai Lu's body, causing his cyclone to increase a little. At this time, even an idiot could understand what was going on. Thus, under the night sky, an incomparably excited laughter rang out. Ahaha! Ahahaha! Dai Lu, who originally thought that he was going to die, miraculously absorbed Elder Gui and obtained his energy, breaking through to 7th grade martial disciple from 10th stage channel opening in one go. Using the terminology of fantasy novels, this was a proper devourer. Gah! His smiles suddenly stopped. The green light on Dai Lu's palm disappeared. No matter how much he tried, it would not appear again. Why is it gone? Could it only appear when I'm in danger? Although depressed, Dai Lu could not hide his excitement as his cultivation had increased by leaps and bounds. He clenched his fist and coldly said, "Jun Changshao, sooner or later, I will take my revenge." After saying this, he stood up and left. As soon as he took a step, his speed was extremely fast as a ghost's shadow. From this, it could be seen that Brother Green Scarf had not only absorbed Elder Gui's cultivation, but also comprehended his blood explosion steps. Although it could not be compared to Elder Gui, at the level of martial disciple, it was already very powerful. Awesome! Super awesome! At that moment, Dai Lu, who was galloping through the wilderness, had a feeling of supremacy. He wanted nothing more than to catch up to Iron Bone and ruthlessly trample on them. Calm down, calm down. That guy and his disciple were too powerful. Although he had obtained great power, 2 fists were no match for many fists. It was better to return to the Sacred Springs Sect first, study the green light thoroughly, and raise his cultivation to a higher level before taking his revenge. 2 fists were no match for many fists. This guy overestimated himself. He had only swallowed the power of others and increased his cultivation. Even if he became a martial master now, facing an outer sect disciple like Long Xiang, he would still be tortured to the point of doubting his life. Absorbing the power of an expert and entering the 7th stage of the Meridian Opening Realm in one go. Dai Lu was definitely cheating. It was definitely an inspirational story of a small character turning the tide. But Elder Gui was very tragic. He was an old man in the saying, "When you beat the small one, the old one comes." Usually, it was a boss. In the end, he was killed by an ant without even seeing Iron Bone's people. Speaking of which, Sect leader Jun really had to thank Dai Lu. If he had not intercepted halfway and killed Elder Gui, it would have been a bit of a headache to face a mysterious Wuzong. However, the death of a dangerous person and the success of an ant. It was hard to say whether or not it would bring more trouble in the future. Put on. Dai Lu forgot about everything and ran at full speed. In the end, he accidentally bumped into a huge rock. At present, even if Brother Green Scarf was a devourer, with his intelligence, he was unable to pose any substantial threat to the system users, the trash, and the reborn. Therefore, although a small character turned the tide, if he wanted to continue to turn the tide of the main characters, he would have a long way to go. Chapter 236. 2 days later, Jun Changshao brought his disciples back to the sect. Huaying County was in an uproar because the Black Eagle Hall on the Black Eagle Mountain was burned to ruins. Could it be that the sect was destroyed? When the news spread, it swept through the entire Huaying County like a gale. For a moment, everyone was talking about this matter, and most of them were secretly happy. There were many evil sects in Huaying County, but the most notorious one was the Black Eagle Hall, because this sect did not care about the rules of the Jianghu and killed people and robbed people all day long. Now that the sect was burned and the whereabouts of the Hall Master and his disciples were unknown, someone must have acted on behalf of the heavens and destroyed this power. It was normal for righteous people to be happy. When the evil sects found out, they also clapped their hands and praised. The Black Eagle Hall was really smelly. Of course. Apart from being happy, everyone was discussing which hero destroyed the Black Eagle Hall that had been established for 100 years. Unfortunately, there were no witnesses. Everyone could only speculate based on the forces that the Black Eagle Hall had offended. In the end, they could not find anyone, because the forces that they had offended were as numerous as the hairs on a cow. Someone once said that the deputy hall master of the Black Eagle Hall had chased after Iron Bone in Death Valley, but it did not attract much attention. The martial artists in Huaying County would never have thought that an 8th-rate sect in Azure Sun County would destroy the deputy hall master and the others, and then destroy the Black Eagle Hall first. For a moment, there were different opinions. As for how the Black Eagle Hall was destroyed, it was destined to become the next unsolved mystery in history. The Azure Sun County also received the news. But because it was a matter outside the county, they only discussed it casually and did not take it seriously. Their focus was now on the AI family's pills and Iron Bone's challenge to the Sacred Springs sect in a few months. After returning to the sect, Jun Changshao gave out the spatial rings he had obtained, one by one, so that each disciple could have one. After destroying the Black Eagle Hall, he obtained a considerable amount of wealth and resources, so he could not help but have the idea of robbing the evil sects under the banner of acting on behalf of the heavens. No. This was a bit too high profile, and not in line with the strategy of keeping a low profile. After coming to the other world, he first destroyed the Spiritual Spring sect, then defeated the Grand Chi sect, and now he even destroyed the Black Eagle Hall. He could not tell how was he keeping a low profile. Sect leader. The next day after he returned to the sect, Elder Wei came to see him and said, "The second batch of herbs has matured and can be harvested." Really? Jun Changshao was overjoyed and hurried to the herb garden. Under Elder Wei's meticulous care, more than 10 mu of medicinal fields were filled with mature medicinal herbs, and even denser spiritual energy gathered in the air. Who? Jun Changshao took a deep breath, and his spirits were lifted. Elder Wei. He said in astonishment, "Under your care, the medicinal garden has become a treasured land full of spiritual energy." Elder Wei said, "Sect leader, our Iron Bone Mountain is too ordinary. I suggest that we plant some spiritual herbs around it. It should be able to increase the heaven and earth attributes." That's a good suggestion. Jun Changshao's eyes lit up. Although the Iron Bone Mountain was big, it was really ordinary. Although there was a little bit of spiritual power, it was still far from being comparable to the Blessed Enclave. Not to mention the Black Hawk Mountain, even the 9 flowing Spirit Spring sect Spirit Spring Mountain was much stronger than the Iron Bone Mountain in terms of spiritual power. Outstanding people and places. There was spiritual energy in the beautiful mountains and rivers, which could nurture outstanding talents. All kinds of infrastructure had to be present, and the spiritual energy of the Iron Bone Mountain had to be strengthened. Only then could he and his disciples benefit. Under normal circumstances, it was impossible to gather spiritual energy in a place where spiritual energy was thin. However, Elder Wei could improve it by cultivating medicinal herbs. Once the spiritual energy of the Iron Bone Mountain was strengthened, the speed of cultivating medicinal herbs would increase. Then, after they matured, they would continue to release the heaven and earth attributes, creating a virtuous cycle. However, Elder Wei added, this is a big project. It's definitely not something that can be achieved in 2 or 3 years. It's fine. Jun Changshao said, I strongly support you in planting trees. It didn't matter if it was slow. As long as it could improve the ecological environment of the Iron Bone Mountain, it would be a matter of great merit and benefit for the future. In that case, Elder Wei said, Sect leader, please buy more medicinal herb seeds. It's best if they are of high quality. Jun Changshao said, no problem. Next, Elder Wei began to collect the medicinal herbs. He did not ask the disciples of the medicinal hall to help him. Instead, he picked them himself, aiming to perfectly preserve the spiritual energy. After a round of inventory, there were more than 2,000 sets of medicinal herbs used to refine the qi-gathering pill. In terms of medicinal effect, they were stronger than those planted previously. Elder Wei, Jun Changshao said with emotion, it's really a blessing for my Iron Bone Mountain to be able to recruit a medicinal herb master like you. Elder Wei smiled and said, thank you for your kindness, Sect leader. This old man is willing to do his best in his lifetime. That's a little inauspicious. Jun Changshao said, Elder Wei is old and clumsy. He will definitely live a long life. Ha ha ha. Elder Wei laughed and said, only by entering the Martial King realm can one have a lifespan of 1,000 years. My old bones can't count on it. Breaking through to the Martial King realm will give you a lifespan of 1,000 years. It's not that difficult, Jun Changshao said. The corner of Elder Wei's mouth twitched. Although martial kings were not the strongest existences in the Falling Star continent, those who could be called martial kings were all overlords. Yet, the sect leader said it was not difficult. After collecting the medicinal herbs, Jun Changshao left the medicinal garden to refine pills. Elder Wei continued to plant high-quality seeds with his disciples. After 2 rounds of cultivation, the spiritual energy in the medicinal garden had increased. The 3rd round of maturation would also be shortened by a lot. This was what Jun Changshao wanted to see the most. If there were more high-quality medicinal herbs in the 1-year agreement, it would definitely help him and his disciples to improve. Inside the room, Jun Changshao sat cross-legged and circulated the tendons changing scripture. Inside the medicine refinery pavilion, alchemy was going on. The tinkling sounds were endless, like beautiful music. Elder Wei's 2nd batch of medicinal herbs was refined. Because of the quality of the materials, the effects were also high. After refining all of them, Jun Changshao took 1 pill. He estimated that the absorption speed would be 15 times faster. If he took it 24 hours a day, it would be equivalent to him absorbing spiritual energy for 15 days if others absorbed spiritual energy for 1 day. Jun Changshao's eyes were burning. The medicinal herbs planted by Elder Wei are definitely the key to strengthening my iron bone. The next day, he gave out 10 energy-gathering pills to each disciple who participated in the extermination of Black Eagle Hall as a reward. Then, he went to Huyang City to find the AI family head and inform him of his purpose. What? AI Shangxiao was shocked. You need hundreds of thousands of such seeds. Can you get it? Jun Changxiao asked. AI Shangxiao calmed down and said, although the quantity is large, we can get it. However, the price is a bit expensive. The high-quality medicinal herbs were given by him previously. The quantity was not too much, so the AI family could afford it. But hundreds of thousands of them were too expensive. Jun Changxiao threw a spatial ring and said, there are 20 million inside. You can find it. AI Shangxiao's mouth twitched. Taking out so much money to buy medicinal herb seeds was definitely a big deal. Don't worry, Sect head Jun, AI Shangxiao said, I will use the fastest time to gather 20 million high-quality medicinal herb seeds. Jun Changxiao said, take the money and return the ring to me. He had already taken out 20 million, but he still cared about a spatial ring. He was really stingy. Oh right, Sect head June, after discussing business, AI Shangxiao smiled and said, the neighboring Pingyang County will be holding a large-scale intersect competition in half a month. Is your sect interested in participating? Not interested. June Changxiao said. Ding. Side mission activated. He opened the data panel. The mission was send a disciple to participate in the intersect competition in Pingyang County and become the champion. June Changxiao finished his words. I want to participate too. Chapter 237. June Changxiao used to have the idea of sending disciples to participate in the intersect tournament because they could improve their combat skills. However, he gave up on the idea after seeing the Tower of Experience. He still needed time to refine the Tower of Experience, so he didn't have the time to compete with others. After the side mission came, he had to participate even if he wasn't interested. After all, he was earning contribution points. The system said, the first epic mission is to win the intersect tournament, and now the side mission is also to win the intersect tournament. This elite mission isn't easy. It's only challenging if it's hard. June Changxiao said. AI Shang said, as far as I know, the sects participating in the intersect tournament are mainly 6th or 7th grade. The strongest participant is a 9th grade martial disciple. System, pretend I didn't say anything. Why? This was because the inner disciples of the Iron Bone sect were already invincible in the martial disciple level. The strongest participant in the intersect tournament in Pingyang County was only a 9th grade martial disciple. Wouldn't that mean he could win with his eyes closed? June Changxiao was overjoyed. The side mission given by the system was like giving rice to him for free. Master AI. He asked, are there any rewards? Since they were sending disciples to participate, they would definitely care more about the rewards. AI Shang said, if a disciple can enter the top 10, they will receive 10 spirit stones. If they win, they will receive a high-grade martial technique and 100 spirit stones. So generous. June Changxiao was stunned. In the intersect tournament in Liang City, Xiao Ziji only received a high-grade mortal martial technique and 10 spirit stones. In the intersect tournament in Pingyang County, there were 10 spirit stones for entering the top 10. The difference was like heaven and earth. Even if it wasn't for the contribution points, he would still participate for the 100 spirit stones. After leaving the AI family's medicine store, June Changxiao returned to the sect and began to think about who to send to participate in the intersect tournament in Pingyang County. This kind of generous reward with a side mission would definitely be chosen from the inner disciples. Only Yi Xingqian and Li Fei didn't participate in the intersect tournament in Liang City, so one of them would be chosen. It's Xingqian, June Changxiao said. When Yi Xingqian found out about this, he rejected it in his heart. After all, it was better to cultivate in the sect than to participate in a child-level competition. After learning about the Spirit Stone reward, he asked seriously, Sect leader, when are you going to participate in the intersect competition? We'll depart in 10 days, June Changxiao said. 10 days? He could still cultivate for a while. Late at night. As usual, June Changxiao entered the training tower to cultivate for 4 hours. After that, he took a hot bath and sat cross-legged in his room to circulate the body metamorphose scripture. The sect needed to develop, but their cultivation couldn't fall behind either. 2 hours later, June Changxiao skillfully opened the shop and murmured, it's time to refresh. Ding! Sect contribution points, 77010000. The new products were still useless. However, at the end, he found a product called the Disciple Mall Vending Machine. Click on Details item, Disciples Store Vending Machine. Description: this item can be automatically sold to the goods in the Disciples store. You only need to use your finger to verify. You can choose to purchase the item if you have enough contribution points. Price: 100 contribution points. This thing is good. June Changxiao said happily. In the sect missions that appeared before, many disciples completed them and received the corresponding contribution points. he had to buy them one by one and distribute them. It was too troublesome. Now that there was a vending machine in the disciples' store, the next time a sect mission appeared, the disciples could buy it themselves after completing the mission. It would undoubtedly save a lot of trouble. Ding! The host spent 100 contribution points and received the disciples' store vending machine X1. It has been transferred to the space ring. Ding! Sect contribution points, 6701000. After buying it, Jun Changshao didn't dare to refresh the shop again. He was afraid that he would get addicted and waste a lot of contribution points. When the sun rose, he left the vending machine in the mission pavilion. Morning. Under the brainwashing of the divine song, the disciples' hearts were beating happily and their minds were being nourished. The best dancer was definitely Lu Wancher. All kinds of self-choreographed dances were definitely pleasing to the eye. Unfortunately, she was born in the wrong place. If she was on Earth, she would definitely capture the hearts of countless otakus who would be willing to cheer for her. After the morning exercise, Jun Changshao explained the functions of the vending machine. The disciples hurried to the mission pavilion. Let me try. Cui Bujian stood in front of the machine and pressed the fingerprint button with his thumb. The screen immediately showed the data disciple, Cui Bujian contribution points. 3 below were many items in the disciples' store, such as wooden swords and chi-gathering elixirs. What should he buy? Cui Bujian thought for a while and pressed the chi-gathering elixir and bought 3 portions. At the moment, he needed resources to raise his level, so buying chi-gathering elixirs was more cost-effective than buying wooden swords. The disciples who had completed the mission tested it one by one. When they saw that they still had contribution points, they also chose to buy chi-gathering elixirs. Sect leader Li Qingyang stood outside the main hall and said, although the vending machine is not bad, there are too few sect missions. Many of the disciples don't have enough contribution points to buy items. Jun Changshao said, don't worry, there will be more in the future. The system stipulated that the sect mission would only be activated after the number of disciples had been filled. Before the third activation, they had to recruit 1,000 disciples. Sigh. Jun Changshao sighed. If there were sect missions every day, even if I didn't have contribution points, I could still do it. The system said, there is a product in the store called the Mission Issuer. There will be missions issued every day. Disciples who complete them will only increase their contribution points, meeting the host's requirements. Is it easy to farm? Jun Changshao asked. The system said, yes, but it's only sold in mid-level stores. Scram. Master AI was very efficient. In just a few days, he came to visit and brought with him 200,000 high-quality herb seeds. On average, one seed cost only 100 taels. Seeds were never expensive. The difficult part was planting and cultivating them. Spending 20 million to buy 200,000 seeds made Jun Changshao's heart ache. But when he thought about how it could improve the ecological environment of empty iron bone, it was still acceptable. After obtaining a large number of seeds, Elder Wei said, Sect leader, please send more people to follow me to plant them. Yes. Jun Changshao sent Long Xiang, Sima Zhongda, and the others over. The transformation of the sect's ecological environment began in full swing. 10 days later. With iron bone as the center, high-quality medicinal herbs were all planted within a few miles. Then, the disciples of the medicinal hall were responsible for cultivating them. This was to return the favor to Sun Bukong and the others. After all, they had planted 200,000 seeds. It was a little tiring, but it could undoubtedly improve the technique of cultivating medicinal herbs. Therefore, the disciples of the medicinal hall were also happy. Let's go. After breakfast, Jun Changshao left with Yi Xingchen and headed to Pingyang County to participate in the sect competition. Junior brother Yi, senior brother. The disciples sent him off and shouted, we will wait for your triumphant return. TSK, Yi Xingchen snorted coldly. For some reason, there was a slight change in his state of mind. In his previous life, he had no friends. When he fought with others, he was always alone. Now that he was participating in the sect competition, he had a group of senior and junior brothers sending him off. That strange feeling was something he had never experienced in his previous life. Chapter 238. Jun Changshao and Yi Xingchen traveled lightly. He didn't bring any other disciples because this kind of sect tournament wasn't difficult at all. It would be a waste of time if too many people went. It was better to cultivate at home. If the organizer of the Pingyang County's sect tournament knew about this, he would definitely be devastated. Our tournament is much more formal than the Azure Sun County's sect tournament. Can't you give us some basic respect? Respect was definitely given. Otherwise, Sect Master Jun wouldn't have sent his disciples to participate. The journey to Pingyang County was a little far. Jun Changshao summoned the purple lightning tiger cub and rode it comfortably. Yi Xingchen miserably used the crossing roaming dragon and followed closely behind. Damn it! If this Emperor's clear sky jade carving was still here, it could travel 1,000 miles with a flap of its wings and leave him far behind. A real man doesn't boast about his past achievements. Yi Xingchen could only follow on foot and entered the neighboring Pingyang County on the second day. Pingyang County was very big and was stronger than Azure Sun County in all aspects. There were at least 300 sects and 2 fifth-rate sections. One was Bright Moon Square and the other was Rain Listening Pavilion. That's right, the young pavilion master who was cheated by Jun Changshao a few times at the auction house was from Pingyang County. Pingyang County's public security was pretty good. Although there were evil sects, they were suppressed by powerful righteous sections. Most of them were sneaky. Tsk tisk. Sitting on the tiger beast and strolling in the beautiful forest, Jun Changshao murmured, I feel that the spiritual power here is denser than Azure Sun County. Yi Xingchen said, Azure Sun County is only a 9th-rate county. Naturally, it can't be compared to an 8th-rate county. 9th rate, 8th rate. Jun Changshao said in surprise, could it be that counties are also divided into different levels? As a sect master, how could this guy not hear of it? Yi Xingchen said, in the Falling Star continent, sects are divided into different grades. Naturally, counties are also divided into different grades. 9th rate is the lowest? That's right. Jun Changshao was silent. He had transmigrated to a 9th-rate sect in a 9th-rate county. Could his luck be any better? The system said, don't you like to challenge the difficulty of the game? Isn't it just to your liking? Jun Changshao could not be bothered with it. He turned to look at Yi Xingchen and said with a smile, you seem to know quite a lot. This was the most basic information, okay? Jun Changshao said meaningfully, Xingchen, I actually know that you are a person with a story. In the sect, there were some things that couldn't be said. But now, there were only 2 people who could speak freely. Yi Xingchen said, so sect master can use the word handsome to describe his life? Not bad. Jun Changshao said seriously. I've been roaming the Jianghu for thousands of years, and I've never seen such a shameless sect leader. Actually. Jun Changshao returned to the topic at hand and said, everyone has their own secrets that are buried deep in their hearts and cannot be known by others. Yi Xingchen fell silent. Could it be that he knew his secret? Impossible. Rebirth was something that went against the heavenly Tao and reincarnation. Who could have guessed it? He must be tricking me. Xingchen. Jun Changshao said, I'm not interested in knowing the secrets in your heart. You just need to remember that once you're a member of the Iron Bones sect, you'll be a member of the Iron Bones sect forever. This disciple was forcefully pulled into the sect. Naturally, he knew that he was dissatisfied, so he needed to be slowly educated and reformed. Understood. Yi Xingchen said this, but he was disdainful in his heart. During this period, although he had been proactive, his real purpose was to obtain more resources. He really did not have a sense of belonging to the sect. Xingchen, do you know what dang 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 is? Dang dang dang. Dang 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 is only you can accompany me to the West Scripture. Only you can kill demons and exorcise devils. Sect Master Jun sang with deep emotion. Yi Xingqian clenched his fists tightly. After Jun Changshao finished singing, he said seriously, Xingqian, when you understand the meaning of the words Iron Bones Sect, you'll naturally understand it. Sect Master. I want to beat you to death with one punch. The sect competition in Pingyang County was held in Suiyang City. Although Suiyang City was not the main city in the county, in terms of scale and strength, it was far stronger than Qingyang City. There were still 2 days before the start of the competition. Various forces rushed in from all directions. The city gate was crowded with people, and it was very lively. Aya! An old man cupped his hands and said, Isn't this the sect master of Crane Mountain Sect? I haven't seen you for a long time. Your cultivation has improved. Hee, so it's Sect Master Kong. It's been a long time, a long time. The sect master of Crane Mountain Sect led his disciples and cupped their hands. This scene of various forces greeting each other politely was repeated at the city gate. The atmosphere was very good. Roar! At this moment, a furious roar came from behind. Everyone was shocked and turned to look. They only saw a man in embroidered clothes, riding a black leopard beast and walking slowly. That's a black-skinned leopard. Oh my God, a beast comparable to a peak martial disciple. It's the junior sect master of the 6th sect beast taming sect. As expected of a sect that rears beasts. He even rides a black-skinned leopard when he goes out. Why is the junior sect master of the beast taming sect here? Is he also going to participate in the sect competition? According to the rules of the competition, as long as the sect members are younger than 20 years old and have not participated in the competition, they are eligible to sign up. Everyone whispered to each other, and their eyes were filled with envy. The junior sect master rode the black-skinned beast and walked over proudly, surrounded by his disciples. Riding a beast out, he was the center of attention wherever he went. It made him feel very comfortable. Suddenly, the junior sect master frowned. Because 2 people walked past him quickly without turning their heads, as if they did not notice him. He, who was used to being noticed, suddenly felt that he was being looked down upon. Hence, he shouted in a deep voice, the 2 people in front, stop right there. Roar! The black-skinned leopard could communicate with its owner's mind. It immediately roared at the 2 people walking past. The roar was a little loud, and it shook the hearts of the ordinary martial artists. At the same time, everyone noticed the 2 people walking past the junior sect master of the beast taming sect. TSK. They dared to walk in front of a black-skinned leopard. How bold! What's the matter? The person in front stopped and turned around with a smile. After taking a closer look, it was our most handsome sect master Jun. Needless to say, it was Yi Xingqian beside him. Seeing that guy's nonchalant look, the junior sect master became angry. The black-skinned leopard I am riding is right in front of your eyes. You should at least show some fear, right? Could it be that he is an expert? The junior sect master asked cautiously, You look very unfamiliar. May I know which sect you are from? Qingyang County, Iron Bones Sect, Jun Changshao said. When the surrounding forces heard this, they were startled and immediately began to discuss among themselves. So it's the Iron Bones Sect from the neighboring county. Isn't this an 8th-rate sect that has just been promoted recently? Did he come to Suiyang City to watch the show? When the young master heard the crowd's discussion, especially when he heard the words 8th-rate sect, his eyes were filled with disdain as he said, My friend, haven't you realized that you're already blocking my path? Chapter 239. Jun Changshao was startled and said, We walked fast, and you walked slow. How could you block our way? Besides, if you didn't stop us, we would have already entered the city and wouldn't have blocked your way. This explanation was reasonable and there was nothing wrong with it. But all the forces were secretly thinking that the Iron Bone from the outer county didn't see that the young master of the beast taming school had a problem with him. Why didn't he quickly apologize to avoid trouble? Sigh. People from the remote and poor areas had no eyesight. The young master of the beast taming school didn't expect such an explanation, so he said indifferently, "My Black Panther is a bit fierce. If you two walk in front of it and anger it, you will be eaten in one bite. That would be an unjust death. If it was a high-level sect from the outer county, they would naturally give him face. But an 8th-rate sect came to the Pingyang County and had to teach him a lesson. So you are thinking for us?" Jun Changshao cupped his hands and said, "Thank you, young master. We will meet again." As he spoke, he led Yi Xingqian to the city gate. The young master's eyes were filled with anger. The Black Panther, which was connected to its master's mind, chased after them. It didn't attack, but opened its mouth, intending to let out a roar to intimidate the two humans in front. But it didn't even start roaring. Yi Xingqian suddenly turned around and threw a rupturing fist. Bang! It directly hit the side of its face. This punch was like eating baked gluten. It was so powerful that the Black Panther retreated more than 10 steps. Finally, its limbs went soft and it lay on the ground. The young master lost his balance and rolled down. Not only was he covered in dust, he was also in a very sorry state. "Young master!" The disciples all rushed over. All the forces at the city gate opened their eyes wide. Oh my God! That young man, who looked like he was only 17 or 18, knocked down a Black Panther that was comparable to a peak martial disciple with one punch. How terrifying was his strength! This wasn't the point. The point was that he dared to attack the mount of the young master of the beast taming school. He was tired of living. "Xingqian," Jun Changshao said in a deep voice, "how can you just casually attack?" Yi Xingqian retracted his fist and said indifferently, "Disciple is worried that the beast will attack Sect Master." "That's true." Jun Changshao turned his head and smiled at the young master who was being helped up. "Young master, please take care of your pet. Especially don't come close to me, because this disciple of mine is also very fierce." The corners of everyone's mouths twitched. Beating the Black Panther down with a single punch was indeed brutal. The young master was furious, but just as he opened his mouth, he saw that the two of them had already entered the city. Thus, he clenched his fists and shouted angrily in his heart, "Just you wait." Riding on the black leopard, Feng Guang felt very comfortable. In the end, his mount was defeated, and he was rolling on the ground. He had lost face in front of so many people, so it was hard for him to accept. Revenge must be taken. However, fighting was prohibited in Suiyang City. He could only suppress his anger and wait for the intersect tournament to end before settling the score. Just now, that guy called himself Sect Master, and the man who attacked him called him Sect Master. Could he be the Sect Master of Iron Bone, Jun Changshao? It should be. I heard that Iron Bone went to challenge the Vastchi sect not long ago and won a complete victory. TSK, heroes come from the young. The martial artists at the city gate began to discuss. Not everyone looked down on Jun Changshao. Many experienced martial artists expressed their appreciation. After all, it was unprecedented for an 8th-class martial artist to win against a 6th-class martial artist. Suiyang City was very big and lively. After Jun Changshao brought Yi Xingqian in, he only took a few glances at the city before heading to the registration area of the intersect tournament in the south of the city according to the signs on the street. Registration for the intersect tournament had started a few days ago. Many forces would send their higher-ups to register in advance, so there were not many people at the registration area. Sect. When Jun Changshao arrived at the registration area, the man with the brush said, "Azure Sun County, Iron Bone Upright Sect," Jun Changshao said. The man with the brush was stunned. He then raised his head and sized Yi Xingqian up. "Your sect in Azure Sun County wants to participate in the intersect tournament of Fair Sun County? Can't I?" Jun Changshao smiled. Yes, they could. After all, there were no written rules that restricted other counties from participating. However, this was the first time the man with the brush was receiving a registration from a sect from another county, so it was normal for him to be surprised. "You are?" According to the rules, they had to confirm if the applicant was a higher-up of the sect. Ironbone Upright Sect Master, Jun Changshao. Jun Changshao said proudly. Others could look down on his sect, but he had to be proud of it. How many people are participating? 1. 1. The corner of the man's mouth twitched. Sect Master Jun, the intersect tournament is only open to disciples. As the sect master, you are not qualified to register. He misunderstood. He was treating Lord Knight Emperor, who was standing beside him, as heir. This is my participating disciple, Jun Changshao said. Oh. The man with the brush understood and said, name and age. Yi Xingchen, 18. After stamping the registration form, the man with the brush handed over the participant token and said, gather here tomorrow morning. However, he paused for a moment and said, the intersect tournament of Fair Sun County has always been attended by disciples of the county. Your sect is from another county, so you will be treated specially. This was a kind reminder. Jun Changshao smiled and said, I understand. When he left with Yi Xingchen, the cultivators from various factions who came to register at the city gate started to talk. So Ironbone is not here to watch the show, but to participate in the intersect tournament. They have guts, daring to cross counties to participate in our Fair Sun County's tournament. 2 years ago, a sixth-rate sect from another county brought 10 disciples to participate. In the end, they were eliminated in the first round. Therefore, our Fair Sun County's intersect tournament has to be attended by our own people. If the sects from another county come, they will definitely attack together. Ironbone only has 1 disciple participating. In the first round of the intersect tournament, they will not be able to last long before being eliminated. There was no denying it. Yi Xingchen's strength when he punched the black-skinned leopard to the ground made the cultivators who witnessed it fearful. However, the intersect tournament of Fair Sun County had its own style. The first round of the intersect tournament was an intersect tournament. When the time came, hundreds of people would fight in one area. Only the survivors would advance to the second round. As a person from another county, he would definitely become the target of everyone. Jun Changshao brought Yi Xingchen to an inn to stay. The next morning, they went to the intersect tournament venue. The intersect tournament of Fair Sun City was held in a building similar to the Colosseum. The spectator stands could hold 200,000 to 300,000 people. As usual. As a member of the upper echelon of the sect, Jun Changshao and the elders of the various sects were arranged in the best spectator seats. After a while, Yi Xingchen followed the participants out of the venue and stopped in one of the 8 areas of the Colosseum. TSK. Jun Changshao looked down at the 8 areas and muttered, there are at least 2,000 participants. The scale is indeed much higher than the intersect tournament of Fair Sun County. Chapter 240. There were only a few hundred participants in the Azure Sun County's Grand Tournament, but there were more than 2,000 participants in the Pingyang County. This was the difference between a 9th and 8th grade county. Not only were there a lot of participants, but they were also very powerful. Jun Changshao used his dazzling light sunglasses and noticed that the weakest participants were 1st grade martial disciples. 4th and 5th grade martial disciples were everywhere, and there were even 4 9th grade martial disciples. In the Azure Sun County's Grand Tournament, 1st and 2nd grade martial disciples were the favorites to be the champion. However, they were at the bottom here. The reason for such a big difference was that the Pingyang County's Grand Tournament only allowed participants under the age of 20 to participate. The Azure Sun County restricted participants to those under the age of 18. With a difference of 2 years, there would be an obvious difference in strength. Of course. It was an indisputable fact that the 8th grade Pingyang County was stronger than the 9th grade Azure Sun County. A big shot sitting at the side whispered, what is that Iron Bones sect master wearing on his eyes? A high-ranking member of a certain sect said in disdain, it's just a trick. An 8th grade sect from a 9th grade county dares to participate in our Pingyang County's Grand Tournament? Who gave him the courage? I heard that Iron Bone challenged the Vast Chi sect and won. This old man has also heard of this matter. It seems that he sent out 7 disciples and won 7 rounds. That sect leader Qin even lost to him. It can't be. An 8th grade sect is so powerful. The mayor of Suiyang City explained the rules of the grand tournament, and the big shots of the various sects chatted. It wasn't hard to tell from their conversation that Iron Bone defeated the vast Qi sect. It was unbelievable. Jun Changshao listened carefully to the rules of the grand tournament. He roughly understood that the rules of the first round of the Pingyang County's grand tournament were that there would be a chaotic battle in 8 regions. Those who could remain standing for a certain time would advance to the second round. TSK. There were at least 300 people in each region. The chaotic battle would definitely be lively. After the mayor of Suiyang City explained the rules, he started to call out the participants. Crane Mountain Sect, Xiongui. Sparrow Sect, Azure Sun County, Iron Bone Sect, Yixingchen. Yes. Yixingchen replied lazily. If it weren't for the fact that he wanted to confirm the contestants' presence, he wouldn't have bothered to answer. However, the spectator stands were in an uproar. All the martial artists were looking at Yixingchen and discussing in low voices. Damn, even people from other counties are participating in this year's intersect tournament. The neighboring 9th-tier Azure Sun County. Isn't Iron Bone the 8th-rate sect that defeated Grand Qi sect some time ago? An 8th-rate sect from a 9th-grade county dares to participate in our Pingyang County's intersect competition. Do they really think there's something? When the various big shots were discussing, they still paid attention to their image. However, these Fair Sun County's martial artists displayed their disdain and contempt incisively and vividly. Even if the Iron Bone sect could defeat the Haoqi sect, in their eyes, the Iron Bone sect was just a low-class sect from a low-class county. Participating in the competition in Pingyang County was simply an insult to the competition. Iron Bone of Qingyang County. Hee, how bold of you to dare to participate in the competition. It's a pity that we're not in the same competition zone. Otherwise, we would have trampled on him and eliminated him in the first round. The participating disciples of the various sects were also discussing in low voices. A martial artist standing beside Yixingchen whispered, "So he's from Qingyang County. No wonder I didn't recognize him." The other participants in the same competition zone also looked over with disdainful smiles on their faces. They confirmed their gazes. This guy was the first person to be eliminated after the competition started. Feeling the disdain and contempt in everyone's eyes, Yixingchen said indifferently, "A bunch of trash." Jun Changshao, who was sitting above, rubbed his chin and said, "Xingchen will probably be the focus of the first round." Soon. The roll call ended. When the Fair Sun County's martial artists didn't hear the name of the second participant from Qingyang County, they realized that the Iron Bone sect had only sent one person to participate. An 8th-rate sect sending a disciple to participate in the competition. How hilarious was this? Sect Master Jun, a middle-aged man beside him, smiled and said, "I really admire your courage to bring a disciple to participate in the intersect tournament." Jun Changshao said, "It's all right." That middle-aged man shook his head. Last time, a 6th-rate sect came from another county to participate. Their 10 disciples were all eliminated in the first round. You sent a disciple? Are you sure this isn't a joke? Elder Qi. Someone smiled and said, "When the competition starts, there should be some excitement in the third competition zone." Yes. When the time comes, more than 300 people will gang up on one person. It'll be a miracle if he can last more than 7 minutes. The various big shots all laughed. Jun Changshao ignored them and said inwardly, "Xingchen, this first round is a bit cruel. Don't disappoint me." At this moment, the Suiyang City's city lord announced loudly, "The 66th Fair Sun County Intersect Tournament has officially begun. Participants, please enter your respective competition zones. It's about to start. I can't wait." The strength of the participants this time is not bad. It will definitely be exciting. There were a total of 8 competition zones. Each zone was half the size of a football field. Yi Xingqian, who represented the Iron Bones sect, was assigned to the third competition zone. When he walked over, more than 300 participants nearby all looked over. Without a doubt. They all locked their eyes on this participant from another county. Once the competition started, they would be united against the outside world. Wasn't this too much of a bully? It couldn't be helped. This was the Fair Sun County Intersect Tournament. Since Yi Xingqian came to participate, he had to be prepared to be targeted. Other than the powerful sects that would occasionally come for a challenge, the sects from other counties wouldn't ask for a rebuff. Kid. A participant walked past Yi Xingqian and laughed softly. When the competition starts later, don't cry. Cry? Yi Xingqian remembered this guy. Everyone was in position. The 8 competition zones could accommodate more than 2,000 participants. Looking down from above, the scene was quite shocking. The first round, start. After a while, the Suiyang City's city lord shouted loudly. Huff! In an instant, the participants in the 8 competition zones all released their cultivation. The spirit power spread out, and the momentum was quite great. When the competition officially started, most of the martial artists on the spectators' platform shifted their eyes to the third competition zone and locked their eyes on Yi Xingqian. Someone from another county. Please experience the hospitality of my Pingyang County. Swish! A martial artist in the third competition zone took the lead to attack. He rushed from behind and condensed spirit power on his fist. Paw! Yi Xingqian turned around, grabbed his fist with one hand, and said, trash. That participant's face changed. Crack! Yi Xingqian clenched his fist hard, and the sound of bones breaking was immediately heard. Then, he leaned back, dodged the attack of another person, and kicked. Bang! Crack! The second martial artist was kicked in the chest before he could stand firm. Several of his ribs were instantly broken. Ah! The 2 participants screamed in pain. Swish! Yi Xingqian threw the guy whose hand was broken away. Then, he stepped on the crossing dragon and appeared in front of a martial artist. He directly clasped the martial artist's left shoulder and said with a gloomy smile, "You don't even have a chance to cry." Crack! Ah! The martial artist whose shoulder bone was crushed immediately screamed in pain. Yes. He didn't even have a chance to cry. Because the pain came unexpectedly, it was heart-wrenching. Before tears could even gather, he had already fainted on the ground. Boom! Boom! Yi Xingqian turned around and punched out with both fists, sending 2 participants flying. Standing proudly in the competition zone, he glanced at the more than 300 participants of Pingyang County and said indifferently, "A bunch of trash. Come and fight." Chapter 241. As soon as the competition began, Yi Xingqian directly crippled 3 contestants. His speed and cruelty made the martial artists on the spectators' stand widen their eyes. A bunch of trash. Come and fight. These words instantly ignited the anger in the hearts of the martial artists in Pingyang County. A guy sent by an 8th-class sect from a 9th-class county was actually so arrogant. This was intolerable. The contestants in the third group were a little afraid when they saw Yi Xingqian crippling 3 people in succession. However, after hearing what he said, their anger rose. Go! Give him a good beating. Whoosh! Whoosh! In an instant, more than 10 contestants rushed over from different directions. They used fist techniques, palm techniques, and foot techniques. Yi Xingqian raised his eyebrows. He used the crossing dragon steps and instantly approached 2 martial artists. He threw 2 heavy punches and directly sent them flying. After he succeeded, he did not hesitate at all. He first avoided the attackers behind him and continued to use the exploding fist. Bang! 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 His psionic energy spread out, and all the contestants who attacked him were sent flying. Yi Xingqian's attacks were very heavy. All the martial artists who were sent flying vomited blood and lost their ability to fight. This was because there was a rule in the competition that no lives could be harmed. Otherwise, given his character, the contestants on the ground would have been dead. However, there were more than 300 people. Therefore, the battle had just begun. Whoosh! 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 More contestants rushed over. They could not tolerate an 8th-class sect disciple from another county being so arrogant in front of their own home. From Jun Changxiao's perspective, Yixingchen was surrounded by hundreds of contestants. The scene was spectacular. Sect leader Jun, a big shot next to him, smiled and said, "Your disciple is quite strong. It's a pity that he can't fight against so many people. He will be eliminated sooner or later." "Is that so?" Jun Changxiao crossed his arms and laughed. Bang! Bang! In the third group, Yixingchen continued to fight alone. Every time he attacked, he would definitely injure a contestant. His performance was quite valiant. With a wealth of martial arts experience and strength greater than the contestants, our Knight Emperor did not panic at all even when facing more than 300 contestants. Jun Changxiao had chosen the right person to send him to participate. If it were Li Qingyang or Xiao Ziji, it would be very difficult for them to fight so many contestants. Bang! 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 Rupturing fists and mountain-splitting palms were used frequently. Yixingchen seemed to have transformed into a proud and aloof general. He was caught in the middle of the enemy's encampment and slaughtered countless soldiers. One by one, the contestants were either sent flying or fell to the ground under his cold attacks. In a short period of time, at least 50 martial artists had been knocked down and lost their fighting strength. The martial artists on the viewing platform were dumbfounded. Each of the Iron Bone disciples was killed with a single punch. Their combat power was too terrifying. I'm fine. There were still more than 200 contestants in the arena. In the end, he was just one person. Even if he had to exhaust himself, he could still exhaust himself to death. The contestants surrounding Yixingchen also thought the same, so they continued to attack. If it were not for the restriction of space, they would have probably attacked together. The other groups also started to fight. However, in terms of excitement, it was definitely not as exciting as the third group. After all, Yixingchen was fighting hundreds of people alone. The spectators' eyes were all fixed on the third group. They locked onto the Iron Bone disciple who looked like he was cutting grass. Too strong. Is this guy a martial master? None of the contestants who were attacked by him were able to stand up. As the contestants were sent flying and fell to the ground again and again by Yixingchen, the spectators' eyes became more and more shocked. The elders of the various sects were also shocked. Facing so many people, the Iron Bone disciple not only dodged with ease, but also counterattacked with perfect timing. It was impeccable. If it were not for the aura of a martial disciple, they would even suspect that it was an experienced Wuzong fighting with others. Yixingchen's performance also surprised Jun Changxiao. He thought to himself, this disciple of mine is quite strong. More than a bit. The system said. Jun Changxiao crossed his arms and smiled. It seems that only one person in the third group can advance. Tisk, one of the elders beside him, said indifferently, Sect leader Jun, the battle has just begun. The best part is yet to come. That's right. Jun Changxiao agreed. The best part is yet to come. In the third group, the battle was still ongoing. Yixingchen was like a god of war. With every move he made, contestants fell to the ground one after another. Blood splattered all over the stone floor. It only took about 10 minutes. The number of contestants lying on the ground had already risen to 150. Not only was Yixingchen not tired, he became more and more courageous as the battle went on. This caused the remaining contestants to have deep fear in their eyes. This guy is too strong. I can't go up anymore. Otherwise, I'll definitely be eliminated. The contestants from Pingyang County began to calm down. No one foolishly rushed up to die. They only surrounded Yi Xingchen. You're not going up. I'll go up. Whoosh! 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 Yi Xingchen used the crossing dragon steps. Spiritual energy gathered in his fists. As long as he was close to a martial artist, he would throw out a rupturing fist, knocking down his target again and again. As a result, the contestants were scared and retreated one after another. The corners of the spectators' mouths twitched. There were so many of them, yet they were scared off by a single person. It was too embarrassing. Jun Changshao shrugged and said with disappointment, "The contestants from Pingyang County are only so-so." The elders of the various sects had ugly expressions. Boom! Boom! Yi Xingchen was still fighting. The area was only so big. The contestants could not run far. Therefore, once they were targeted, they would be injured and fall to the ground. Thump! Thump! The contestants fell to the ground one by one. The number of eliminated contestants kept rising. 30 minutes later. Thump! A rank 9 martial disciple fell to the ground in pain and then fainted. Trash, Yi Xingchen said disdainfully. He was very arrogant. But he had the right to be arrogant. Because he was the only one standing in the third area. More than 300 contestants were all lying on the ground, moaning and groaning in pain. The martial artists on the spectator stand were all dumbfounded. They had imagined how the Iron Bone disciples would be taken care of by the other sects after the competition started and how they would be brutally abused. However, they had never imagined that so many contestants would be defeated by him alone. It took him less than an hour to do it. The elders of the various sects were also dumbfounded. Especially when they saw one of the favorites to be the champion being defeated on the ground, the corners of their mouths twitched violently. This Iron Bone disciple was really strong. Jun Changshao looked at the elder who spoke just now and said with a smile, "The first good show is over." Yes. The good show was over. Not only did the Iron Bone disciple not get eliminated, but he also eliminated more than 300 contestants. This kind of elimination of all the contestants in the first round was something that had never happened in the previous grand competitions of Pingyang County. It was no wonder that when Yi Xingchen defeated the last contestant, the martial artists of Pingyang County were all dumbfounded. The contestant who advanced from the third area of the first round. Azure Sun County, Iron Bone Clan, Yi Xingchen. The referee announced loudly. Yi Xingchen stepped over the contestants one by one until he walked out of the area. He said indifferently, "Participating in this kind of competition is a complete waste of time." Chapter 242. The time limit for the first round of the Pingyang County Intersect Tournament was 2 hours. Yi Xingchen eliminated all the contestants from the third group and advanced to the second round. The other 7 groups were still fighting. After 2 hours of fighting, more than 30 people advanced to the second round. When they walked out and saw the contestants from the third group all lying on the ground, they were all stunned. Due to the terrain and the fact that they were focused on fighting, these contestants did not see how Yi Xingchen cut the grass. It was good that they did not see it. Otherwise, they would have been deeply shocked. They even had the thought of not having any hope of winning the championship. The first round of fighting ended. After a short break, the contestants who advanced began to pick their number plates to fight one-on-one. Most of the contestants who were able to make it through the chaotic battle were 5th grade and above. Therefore, the second round of fighting would definitely be more exciting. However, when the Crane Mountain sect's disciple drew Yi Xingchen, the higher-ups of the sect immediately collapsed in their seats. It was too late. The popular champion had been eliminated by that guy. Their disciple, who was only a 6th-grade martial disciple, would definitely be defeated. The first round of the second round begins. The judge shouted. Yi Xingchen and the Crane Mountain sect's disciple walked up to the fighting ring. Begin. Swoosh! The Crane Mountain sect's disciple made the first move. He used the crane steps and the crane form fist technique to dodge left and right. If it was in the past, the higher-ups of the Crane Mountain sect would definitely nod and praise the disciples' performance. But now, the corners of their mouths were twitching violently. Against such a strong opponent, your fancy moves are useless. As expected. When the disciple used the crane steps and kept moving around in circles, Yixingchen impatiently punched him in the face and knocked him unconscious. So fast. The Crane Mountain sect's disciple was actually defeated in seconds. This guy is very strong. More than 30 contestants' expressions became serious. The second round of fighting continued. After 2 hours, there were a total of 16 contestants who advanced. Then, they would draw lots to determine their opponents. Plop! On the fighting ring, the 7th-grade martial disciple who took Yixingchen's punch fell to the ground with a grimace. Winner, Yixingchen. Plop! The winner is Yixingchen. In the quarterfinals, Yixingchen knocked out his opponent again with a single punch. The other contestants were so shocked that their expressions changed drastically, and cold sweat broke out on their foreheads. This wasn't very strong. This was super strong. At that moment, the contestants finally understood why all the contestants from the third group had fallen. The battle of the top 4. Yixingchen did not use his fists. Instead, he used his mountain-splitting palm to insta-kill his opponent and successfully advanced to the finals. Everyone's lips twitched even more intensely. Since the start of the second round, the Iron Bone disciple had not made a second move. He was simply invincible. AI. Jun Changshao shook his head and said, "It's a complete waste of time to send disciples to participate in this level of sect tournament." The faces of the leaders of the various sects sitting at the side were extremely ugly. There was no other way. Since the other party's disciple was strong, they could only watch as he acted cool. The battle that was supposed to be exciting became boring because of Yixingchen insta-killing his opponent again and again. The martial artists of Pingyang County had already forgotten about the champion because they knew that it would definitely be the Iron Bone disciple. Now, they were thinking about whether they could let that guy make 2 moves in the finals. They could not do as they wished. Because when the finals began, Yixingchen also used 1 move to knock the 9th-grade martial disciple off the stage. The Sect tournament of Pingyang County ended just like that. When the mayor of Suiyang City began to announce the champion, more than 200,000 spectators were still a little absent-minded. In the past, the finals of Pingyang County's intersect tournament had always been exciting. However, this time, it had ended right after it started. It was not exciting at all. It was not hot-blooded at all. They should be content. At least they still fought in the finals. In the Sect tournament of Qingyang County, Xiao Ziji did not even make a move when he won the championship. It was so boring that the spectators vomited blood. Ding! Side mission completed. Host receives 500 contribution points. Ding! Sect contribution points, 11551000. Ding! Sect contribution points overflow. Ding! Host completed side mission. Host is rewarded with a bottle of top-grade aptitude modification liquid. TSK. The reward for this elite mission was quite generous. Jun Changshao stood up and cupped his hands toward the leaders of the various sections. Thank you all for giving me the honor of letting Iron Bone become the champion of the Sect tournament. The word "let" was said very eloquently, but it also turned into an invisible palm that slapped the faces of the various forces in Pingyang County, causing their expressions to turn extremely ugly. Did they think that Iron Bone would be eliminated? But the result? It was so easy for them to win the championship. Under the gaze of more than 200,000 pairs of eyes, Yixingchen received the upper-grade martial arts technique and 100 spirit stones. At this point, the Sect tournament had ended. An outer county sect winning the championship would definitely cause a huge commotion in Pingyang County. Iron Bone Clan would also become the focus of discussion. All of this had nothing to do with Jun Changshao, because after leaving the venue for a short rest, he brought Yixingchen back to the sect. When they entered, the martial artists in Pingyang County knew that they were from an 8th-rate sect in a 9th-rate county. They all looked at them with disdain, but now, they were filled with reverence. In the first round of the Battle Royale, they defeated more than 300 people, and in the subsequent rounds, they were all killed in one move. This sect's disciples were really terrifying. If they couldn't get respect, they could only fight it out. Damn it! On the way back to the sect, the beast-taming sect's young master's eyes flashed with anger. Young master, a disciple said, if we just leave like this, wouldn't it be too easy for Ironbone? The young master said irritably, that guy won the championship by force. His strength is far above mine. If we don't let Ironbone go, should we go and get beaten up? He couldn't accept the humiliation at the city gate, so he decided to block the entrance and teach that guy from Ironbone a lesson after the sect tournament ended. But when he saw Yixingchen win the championship, he quickly dispelled the thought. He was too strong, he couldn't afford to offend him. Humph. I will remember this. Next time, if I meet him, I will definitely roar. Suddenly, a roar came from the forest behind them. The Black Panther's gaze froze, and then it was overwhelmed with shock. It was so scared that its body was trembling. The beast-taming sect's young master's face also changed slightly. This roar must be from a tiger beast, and it wasn't hard to hear that it was very irritable. Its level was definitely not low. Shwa! A purple-haired tiger beast scuttled out from the bushes on the left and landed not far from the crowd. Hiss! Purple lightning splashed around its body. Seeing this, the beast-taming sect's young master and disciples' eyes instantly widened. Ha! Jun Changshao, who was riding on it, looked over and smiled, isn't this the young master from the city gate? I didn't expect to meet him in the wilderness. Roar! The purple lightning tiger raised its head and roared, looking extraordinarily mighty. Plop! The Black Panther was terrified to the extreme. It was so scared that its limbs went soft and fell to the ground. The beast-taming sect's young master rolled down again. The purple lightning tiger's eyes were filled with disdain. It then carried its master and left. The young master climbed up from the ground in a sorry state. He didn't care about the grass stuck to his hair. He looked at the tiger beast that was far away and said in disbelief, that's a purple lightning tiger cub. Chapter 243. Purple lightning tiger cub. Oh my god, that's an extremely rare lightning-type beast. He's just an 8th-rate sect master, how could he have such a mount? The beast-taming sect disciples were shocked. As a sect that dealt with beasts, they naturally knew how precious and difficult it was to tame a lightning-type beast. In order to keep a low profile, Jun Changshao kept the purple lightning tiger cub in the sect master ball after arriving at Suiyang City. After the tournament, he would definitely need to ride it back to Azure Sun County. However, he didn't expect to meet the beast-taming sect master in the wilderness. Sigh. Jun Changshao shook his head and said, why is it so hard to keep a low profile? Roar! Feeling its master's thoughts, the purple lightning tiger cub roared again, scaring the animals in the forest. It would be strange if this brat could keep a low profile. Sect Master Jun had a mount, so Yixingchen had to use the crossing roaming dragon to follow behind. As for the reward, he had already handed it over. Damn it! He said angrily, if I had known, I would have stayed in the training tower to temper my body. On the way back, Jun Changshao opened the store and considered whether to spend the excess contribution points or buy a few bottles of aptitude modification liquid. Forget it, I'll just go with the flow. He didn't want to waste his contribution points and bought 4 bottles of aptitude modification liquid. His contribution points dropped from 1155 to 955. A hidden mission and a side mission. Sect leader Jun felt very comfortable and secure when his contribution points, which were about to hit rock bottom, were once again maxed out. Come to Pingyang County to participate in the tournament. Earn 500 contribution points and 100 spirit stones. Jun Changshao said happily, it's worth it. What about high-grade martial techniques? To be honest, he didn't think much of them. After all, they were too far away from the store. Especially the martial techniques he obtained from the tournament in Azure Sun County. If it wasn't for the fact that he thought it was too hard, he would have thrown it into the toilet. The system said, there are many counties in the Falling Star continent. Every once in a while, there will be a tournament. Host can send more disciples to participate. It can be a way to earn resources. Tisk Jun Changshao rolled his eyes and said, it's already very kind of you to not encourage me to spend contribution points. Why would you take the initiative to find me a way to earn resources? The system said seriously, my mission is to assist the host in building the Iron Bone clan into the strongest clan. Alright. Jun Changshao rubbed his chin and pondered, let the disciples participate in the Intersect tournament. Not only can they earn spirit stones, they can also engage in actual combat. It's not a bad idea. However, she couldn't follow them around and run around. The system replied, under normal circumstances, there is no need for the sect master to personally attend the Intersect tournament. Disciples only need to provide proof of their sect to register for the tournament. Go back and ask Family Head AI if there are any other counties that are going to host a competition like the Intersect tournament. 2 days later, Jun Changshao returned to Azure Sun County. However, he didn't immediately return to the sect. Instead, he made a trip to Huyang City. Sect Master Jun went to participate in the Fair Sun County's Intersect tournament. Yes. How's the battle record? He won a championship so casually. Caw. AI Shang was dumbfounded. He won a championship so casually. What a flirtatious thing to say. Family Head AI. Jun Changshao said, do you know that other counties have this kind of Intersect tournament that rewards spirit stones? The corner of AI Shang's mouth twitched, and he said, Sect Master Jun still wants disciples to participate in the tournament. Jun's group of good-for-nothing disciples can't cultivate in the sect all day long. It's necessary for them to go to the Jianghu when appropriate. Jun Changshao said. AI Shang, your group of good-for-nothing disciples had completely defeated the direct disciples of Haoqi sect. If they were to become useful, wouldn't they be able to ascend to the heavens and enter the earth? That's right. AI Shang agreed, cultivating in seclusion is equivalent to building a car behind closed doors. Only by going to the Jianghu to gain experience can they truly grow. He paused for a moment, then said, in a few days, Huayang County will hold a martial arts competition. The nature is similar to the Intersect tournament, and the rewards are quite generous. Is that so? Jun Changshao's interest was piqued. AI Shang said seriously, there are many evil sects in Huayang County, and many people have died in previous Intersect tournaments. I don't recommend Sect Master Jun to send disciples to participate. Moreover, he paused for a moment, then said in a low voice, I just received news that the Black Eagle Hall, a 7th-rate sect in Huayang County, was annihilated overnight. It doesn't seem to be peaceful. It had been more than half a month, and he only received news now. The rate of information gathering was really low. Oh. Jun Changshao nodded and said, are there any other countries? Let me think about it. AI Shang thought for a moment, then said 4 counties one after another. Some were closer, some were farther, but they all held Intersect tournaments similar to the Intersect tournament. After getting the information he wanted, Jun Changshao cupped his hands and said, there are still important matters to attend to in the sect. Jun will take his leave first. Family Head AI hurriedly sent him off, then secretly shook his head and said, Sect Master Jun really won the Intersect tournament of Pingyang County so easily? Family Head AI Shang walked over and said, second brother, who was purchasing medicinal herbs in Pingyang County, sent a messenger pigeon to deliver the latest news about the Intersect tournament. Oh? AI Shang hurriedly took the letter. The details of the tournament were written on it. After reading it, he said in a daze, this is really very casual. After leaving Huyang City, Jun Changshao rode the Purple Lightning Tiger Cub back to Iron Bone. Yi Xingqian was the first to arrive. At this moment, he was surrounded by a group of disciples, who were asking about the situation. Do you even need to say it? Su Xiaoma said at the top of his voice, with Junior Martial Brother Yi, you will definitely win the championship. Junior Martial Brother Yi, Senior Martial Brother, is mighty. All the disciples cheered. Yi Xingqian ignored them, walked out of the crowd, and headed to the training tower. In his opinion, participating in the Intersect tournament of Pingyang County was a complete waste of time and life. However, this kind of scene where he was sent off when he went out and was welcomed when he came back, he was slightly touched. Qingyang. Sitting on the 1,000-year-old Phoebe chair in the main hall, Jun Changshao said, in a few days, there will be a martial tournament in Pingyang County. You should go and participate. Sect Master. Li Qingyang said weakly, can you let the other junior martial brothers go? I want to cultivate properly for a period of time. Jun Changshao said, the other disciples also need to go to other counties to participate in the Intersect tournament. Understood. Li Qingyang said, I will definitely achieve good results. Jun Changshao interlocked his fingers and said, I only have one request. Become the champion of the martial tournament. Yes. Li Qingyang said seriously, I will not disappoint Sect Master. Jun Changshao then called Xiao Ziji, Su Xiaoma, and the others over, and assigned them tasks to participate in the Intersect tournament of each county. There was only one request, which was to be the champion of each tournament and bring the reward back to the sect. Of course. For the sake of safety, he specially instructed them that even if their opponents were weak, they had to appear as if it was very difficult to win, so as to avoid being too high profile and being targeted by people with ulterior motives. This was not enough. Jun Changshao then mobilized the members of the Drizzle Hall and asked them to follow them secretly. These inner disciples were his precious treasures. They could go out to train, but they must be absolutely safe. Chapter 244. A few days later. Li Qingyang set off first. His mission was to become the champion of the Huayang County Martial Arts Competition. Li Qingyang had a steady and kind personality. Jun Changshao asked him to participate in the dangerous competition because he wanted to hone his skills. After joining the sect, Li Qingyang had changed a lot. Especially when dealing with enemies, he had shown the necessary decisiveness. However, he was not sharp enough. For example, when he fought with the leader of the Black Eagle Hall, he could have killed him directly because he was kind enough to let the enemy escape. Kindness was a virtue. Being kind was also a virtue. Jun Changshao didn't want his disciples to be cold-blooded and heartless. He also didn't want them to be kind to their enemies. Because that wasn't a kind Virgin Mary, but a brainless Virgin Mary. After Li Qingyang set off, the 5 gold medal members followed him in the dark to protect him at all times. The next day, Xiao Ziji, Su Xiaoma and the others set off early because the martial arts competition was far away. They were also followed by the members of the Drizzle Hall. Jun Changshao focused on teaching the disciples. At the same time, he rewarded Yi Xingqian with 10 15x Qi gathering pills and 10 spiritual stones. 100 pills became 10 pills. This was a bit stingy. However, the 15x Qi gathering pills made Yi Xingqian very satisfied. The 3-month martial arts competition is coming soon. Jun Changshao murmured, the champion can add a few spiritual stones as a reward. After this decision was passed down, the disciples immediately became more enthusiastic in their cultivation. Li Qingyang and the others went to participate in various competitions. Jun Changshao was cultivating, teaching the disciples, and training in the training tower. The 15x Qi gathering pills and spiritual stones were always provided. A few days later, relying on the resources and the powerful Yi Jingjing, sect leader Jun reached the 6th grade from the 5th grade. Currently, he was equal to Li Luoqiu, who had just reached the 6th grade. He was now the strongest in the sect. Bang! His fist landed on the testing machine, and the strength displayed on the screen was 9,000. A rank 5 martial master's strength was around 90,000. Now that he had broken through to rank 6, his strength had increased by 7,000 pounds, which was 1,000 pounds more than the upper limit. AI. Jun Changshao was not satisfied. When can I reach the level where I can directly use the Green Dragon Crescent Blade without using the force-increasing talisman? The system said, based on the increase in power brought by the host's realm, only by breaking through to Wuzong can the host meet the requirements. Can't he be a martial master? Jun Changshao asked. The system said, the minimum requirement for the Green Dragon Crescent Blade is 150,000 Jin. Since the host is a peak martial master, his strength is only around 130,000 Jin. It is definitely not possible. Only 130,000? Jun Changshao shook his head. The system was speechless. The top geniuses of the Falling Star continent only have a strength of around 100,000 at the martial master level. The host's strength is 20 to 30,000 higher than theirs. What's there to be dissatisfied about? Damn it! Jun Changshao said, you've finally said something I like to hear. The system, 3 days later. Li Qingyang returned. When he left, he was clean, and when he returned, he was clean as well. Second senior brother. The disciples who were cultivating surrounded him and asked, how was it? Not bad. Li Qingyang smiled and said, I won the championship. Second senior brother is mighty. The disciples cheered again. The pride of being a disciple of the Iron Bone sect grew even stronger. Sect Master. Li Qingyang walked into the main hall and handed over 50 spirit stones and a mid-tier weapon. He said, this is the reward for the champion of the Huaying County Martial Arts Competition. Yes. Jun Changshao took the 40 spirit stones and said, was it difficult? No. Li Qingyang was disappointed. The Huaying County Martial Arts Competition has an age restriction. No one above 20 can participate. The strongest participant is only a 7th rank martial disciple. That's really weak. Jun Changshao said, did you kill anyone? The martial arts competition doesn't care about life and death. I met many evil sect martial artists who attacked me viciously. In the end, I killed them all. Li Qingyang said. Jun Changshao said with satisfaction, not bad, not bad. Sect Master. Li Qingyang said, I'm worried that I'll offend a few evil sects and cause trouble for my Iron Bone sect. Jun Changshao touched his nose and said, if they dare to come, they won't be able to go back. Sect Master. At this time, Zhang Wei hurriedly ran in from outside and said, there's a guy who calls himself an elder of the Ghost Hand sect. He's making a ruckus outside. Li Qingyang said seriously, Sect Master, the Ghost Hand sect is a 7th rank evil sect in Huaying County. The participants that I killed were from this sect. TSK. Jun Changshao said, trouble came quite quickly. After saying that, he got up and walked out. Outside the sect. The elder of the Ghost Hand sect stood proudly with his hands behind his back. His eyes flashed with a sinister light. One look and you could tell that he was a typical evil sect member. He was very angry now. Because the disciples that participated in the martial arts competition were killed by the Iron Bone sect's Li Qingyang. What made him even angrier was that he had waited outside the city for half a day, but that guy still hadn't appeared. After killing an evil sect disciple, Li Qingyang definitely knew that he would get into trouble, so he disguised himself when he came out. Otherwise, he definitely wouldn't have returned safely. Creak. The closed red door opened. Jun Changshao walked out and smiled, you are? Humph, Gui Jianchou said coldly, Huaying County's Ghost Hand sect's 4th elder, Song Si. Seeking death? This name was similar to Ai Shua's. Brat. Song Si said indifferently, looking at how you're dressed, could it be that you're the leader of the Iron Bone sect? That's right. Sect Master Jun smiled, Elder Song, why do you have time to visit my Iron Bone sect from so far away? Visit my ass. Song Si said in a low voice, call out your sect's Li Qingyang, this old man wants to take his life. As expected of someone from an evil sect, direct and straightforward. Jun Changshao said, Elder Song is still a high-ranking member of the sect. Coming to my Iron Bones sect to take my disciple's life is a bit inappropriate. Song Si sneered, daring to kill my Ghost Hand sect's disciple. No matter who he is, this old man must kill him personally. How about this? Jun Changshao said, this seat and Elder Song will exchange blows. He had just broken through to a 6th grade martial master, his hands were itchy. GGG. Song Si laughed strangely, Sect Master Jun, this old man will only take people's lives, there is no such thing as exchanging blows. Alright then. Jun Changshao said, this seat will let Elder Song take my life. Killing my sect's disciple, having the sect master pay with his life is not bad. Song Si said indifferently, here or at your sect's martial arts field? Here will do. Jun Changshao said, this seat is afraid that blood will stain the stone floor. GGG. Song Si laughed strangely, Sect Master Jun is a particular person. Shwa. Suddenly, Jun Changshao used the ghost shadow steps and appeared in front of him, saying eerily, Elder Song, don't misunderstand, this seat is afraid that your blood will stain the stone floor. Song Si's smile froze, his eyes filled with shock. This guy's speed is so fast that I can't even see how he got close. Shwa. At this time, Jun Changshao swung his fist. With the support of the rupturing fist, the strength carried easily broke through 100,000 jin. Not good, boom. Chapter 245. Jun Changshao, who had broken through to the 6th grade martial master, could easily break through 100,000 jin of strength with any martial technique. This was quite terrifying. One must know that the most ordinary 1st grade Wuzong only had 100,000 jin of strength. For him to be able to achieve this at his current level, the increase would definitely exceed 6,000 jin. In other words, although sect leader Jun was only a 6th grade martial master, he already had the strength of an ordinary Wuzong. If he used the strength increasing talisman, he would be even more brutal. Li Luoqiu, who was also a 6th grade martial master, definitely did not have such a strong strength. Thus, without a doubt, the strongest person in Iron Bone was sect leader Jun Yixingchen. He was only strong in martial arts experience. In terms of true strength, he was far from being able to compare. Even a sword cultivator like Zhou Hong, if he did not rely on the Ling Jian God technique, would be lacking. Sect leader Jun was strong, but he rarely fought. After all, he had a group of disciples, so he did not need to use his full strength unless he was facing a strong enemy. The Ghost Hand sect elder in front of him was on the same level as him, so he had to make a move. Song Si was a 3rd grade martial master, but his strength was only 50,000. The difference was 2 times. How could he fight? There was no way. Jun Changshao used the exploding fist, and with the speed of his strength, it was hard for him to dodge. He could only take the fist on his abdomen. In an instant, Song Si's eyes popped out. Spiritual energy spread from his back, and a fist-sized hole appeared in his clothes. Wah! Blood spurted out, and a heart-wrenching pain assaulted his heart. Jun Changshao's fist landed on Song Si's body. Although it did not send him flying, it still injured him. And this was after he pulled back a bit, or else he would have died. Paw! His other hand reached out and grabbed Song Si's neck, pulling him in front of him. Jun Changshao's eyes were cold. You dare to come to my iron bone and take my disciple's life, you must be tired of living. Killing intent filled the air, and it was incomparably cold. In front of his disciples, he could appear to be very easygoing and would occasionally be mischievous. However, in front of his enemies, he was definitely like a demon god. Jun Changshao had completely transformed. He was no longer a law-abiding earthling, but a true native of the falling star continent. It's not in my character to adapt. I will have the Starfall continent adapt to me. Anyone who dares to bully and humiliate me will have to pay the price. This was what he had told the system after he had slaughtered hundreds of bandits from the Black Wind Stockade. Exterminate the Spirit Spring Sect. Mia Drizzle Building. Annihilate Black Hawk Hall. Everything Jun Changshao did showed that he wanted the Falling Star Continent to adapt to him, rather than to adapt to the Falling Star Continent. His 5 fingers gradually tightened, and the pain and fear of death instantly filled Song Si's body. His eyes were filled with terror as he said, Don't kill me, you don't want to die. Jun Changshao asked coldly. If one could live, who would want to die? As the force increased, Song Si felt as if half of his body was already stepping on the gates of hell. That experience of being infinitely close to death was really terrifying. As an elder of the Ghost Hand sect, he had never blinked when killing people. Sometimes, he would even cruelly torture his opponents to let them experience the taste of death. Now that it was his turn, good and evil would be repaid. If one didn't believe it, look up and see who was spared by the heavens. No. I want to die. Song Si hadn't completely given up his desire to live. He let out a pleading voice from his painful throat. Jun Changshao relaxed a little and said coldly, If you don't want to die, be my servant. The moment the power of death disappeared, Song Si felt as if he had stepped out of the gates of hell again. That feeling of escaping from death was really the happiest thing in life. Okay. I'll be your servant. He tried his best to speak clearly, fearing that the other party couldn't hear him and would kill him in the next second. Swish! Jun Changshao retracted his hand. Plop! Song Si was relieved and directly collapsed to the ground. I'm still alive. I'm still alive. Jun Changshao said coldly, From today onwards, you are my servant. What a servant has to do is listen to me. Otherwise, you'll suffer a fate worse than death. Understood. Song Si said weakly. As long as he could live, he wouldn't care about anything else. Jun Changshao squatted down and put one hand on his shoulder. His gaze was cold as he said, How can this lord believe you? Very simple. Lu Qianxian had unknowingly leaned against the door and said indifferently, Make him hand over his soul source. Soul source? Jun Changshao had never heard of it. The system said, Soul source is a martial cultivator's lifeline. If one can grasp it, one's soul can be scattered with just a thought. Was it that awesome? Come. Jun Changshao said, Hand over your soul source and this lord will spare your life. Song Si's gaze was conflicted, but he felt the palm on his shoulder increase in strength. He said in fear, I'll hand it over. Saying that, his mind connected with his soul and pulled out a thread-like object from his body. This was the soul source. An existence that was above the 3 souls and 7 spirits. The system said, Hold it in your hand and keep it in your space ring. Jun Changshao reached out and grabbed the soul source, then pulled it out. With a thought, he kept it in his space ring. Okay. Everything was done. He had already grasped Song Si's lifeline. As long as his mind entered the space ring and crushed the soul source, he would die and his soul would scatter. Of course. If the soul source was safe and sound, the martial cultivator under control would not be harmed at all. Those who needed to eat would eat, and those who needed to sleep would sleep. Let's go. Jun Changshao said, Return to the Ghost Hand sect and continue to be an elder. When I need you, this lord will contact you. Yes, call me master. Yes, master. Song Si stood up with difficulty. He dragged his injured body and weakly walked down the mountain step by step. At that moment, he really wanted to cry. Why didn't I act like nothing happened? Why did I have to come to Iron Bone? Now it's good. Not only did he not kill him, his soul source was also controlled by the Iron Bone sect leader and became a servant. Under the setting sun, Song Si's shadow was pulled infinitely long. It was as if he had aged a few decades. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing the hidden quest, Obedient. You have gained 100 contribution points. Ding! Contribution points, 10501000. Ding! Sect contribution points overflow. Jun Changshao was stunned. This is also considered a hidden quest. The system said, the host is holding his soul source, so he will naturally obey. Oh. Jun Changshao understood and laughed, I've earned it. Sect leader. Lu Qianqian asked, why didn't you kill him? Jun Changshao rubbed his nose, and said, if I kill him, the Ghost Hand sect will definitely not let this matter rest. This lord does not want to cause trouble. He had just mobilized so many people to destroy a Black Eagle Hall, and now he was going to destroy a Ghost Hand sect. What's more, if he went to destroy this and that every day, how could he develop the sect in a low-key manner? Chapter 246. Jun Changshao didn't kill Song Si because he didn't want to cause trouble. But he couldn't just let him go like that. If he went back and complained, the Ghost Hand sect would definitely harass him again. So he could only make him his servant and control him. This way, he could avoid future troubles. But, he never thought that controlling that guy's soul would actually allow him to complete a hidden mission. Lu Qianqian said, Sect leader has matured a lot. Not killing Song Si, but controlling him, this was no doubt the most perfect way to deal with him. Jun Changshao walked to the front of the door and stood half a meter away from her. He gave her a side profile and said with a smile, the more you interact with me, the more you'll realize that such a mature man is worth entrusting your life to. Lu Qianqian's eyes turned cold. Jun Changshao hurriedly retreated. As soon as he stepped into the sect, he kicked the soccer ball that was flying towards him back. Then, with a bang, the soccer ball hit Li Fei's face and smashed him against the wall. Awesome! Su Xiaoma and the others were full of admiration. The only one who came to cause trouble was Song Si from the Ghost Hand sect, so Xiao Ziji's participation in the tournament could be considered a perfect ending. At night, Jun Changshao opened the data panel and whispered, there's an extra 50 points, let's get rid of it first. The system said, impulse is the devil. Ha! This was the first time it took the initiative to persuade the host to calm down. Jun Changshao said, don't worry, after going through so many refreshes, my heart is already as calm as water. Even if I can't get anything good, I won't easily get carried away. The system said, I hope so. Shwa! Jun Changshao's mind moved, and the system store was quickly replaced by new products. However, after looking through row after row, his heart turned cold. Other than daily necessities, there was nothing. What was even worse was that there was a product called Incubator. Wait a minute. Incubator? Jun Changshao was startled, and hurriedly opened the details item, Incubator. Description: as long as there is enough crystal core energy, it can hatch any egg in the world, especially beast eggs in the world of martial arts. Advantage: after hatching, the cub will automatically sign a contract with the host. Special effect: during the incubation process, there is a certain chance that the baby beast inside will mutate, greatly increasing its strength. Price: 300 contribution points. Fuck. Jun Changshao said, an incubator is even more expensive than the Green Dragon Crescent Blade. The system said, this is a product that can hatch beast eggs. After success, not only will a contract be automatically signed, there is also a chance for the cub to mutate. 300 contribution points is considered cheap. Didn't the host obtain a dragon egg in Death Valley? Recommended purchase index, I know. Jun Changshao interrupted, isn't it just 5 stars? The system was quite pleased. The host has learned how to answer first. Your IQ has improved. Scram. Jun Changshao rubbed his chin and murmured, it's been a while since I brought the dragon egg back, but I don't know how to hatch it. It's not a bad idea to buy this thing. However, isn't it a little ugly? As for the contract beasts, Jun Changshao only cared about their appearance. After all, they had face when they went out. The system was speechless. The fire dragon beast has a huge body and is also a fire-type beast. If the host rides it out, the rate of turning heads will definitely be 100%. That's true. Jun Changshao said, buy it. Ding! The host has spent 300 contribution points and obtained an incubator X1. It has been transported into the space ring. Ding! Sect contribution points, 7401000. His soul entered the space ring. Looking at the incubator that was more than 2 meters tall and 2 meters wide, the corner of Jun Changxiao's mouth twitched. So big? The system said, the eggs laid by high-level beasts are about the size of a small mountain. This incubator can be considered a small one. Jun Changxiao walked around the incubator and found a groove at the base. He immediately realized that this was the place to charge the crystal core. Let's give it a try. Returning to the outside world, he placed the machine in the study room. Then, he carried the dragon egg over, opened the door of the incubator, and threw it into the slot in the center. The system said, there are high-quality incubators in the store. Not only can they hatch many eggs at the same time, but the host can also control the young beasts to sign a contract with others after hatching. Damn! Jun Changxiao said in shock, this is awesome. Hatching many eggs at the same time could also decide who to sign a contract with. As long as he could find enough eggs and give one to each disciple, the scene would definitely be shocking. The system said, this kind of high-level incubator can only be refreshed in the store above the middle level. Scram as far as you can. Jun Changxiao said. After throwing the dragon egg in, the next step was to fill it with the energy of the crystal core to start the incubation. However, when Sect leader Jun used 10 crystal cores to fill the incubation energy, he clicked on the 4 words, start incubation, but there was no movement. Could it be that he bought a fake? The system said, this egg was laid by the fire dragon beast. The host can't incubate it with a middle level 1 crystal core. It turned out that incubating a beast egg depended on the level of the crystal core. Jun Changxiao drew back the energy inside and refilled it. This time, he used 10 middle level 9 crystal cores. He pressed the switch, but there was still no movement. The system said in surprise, this level of crystal core should be able to incubate the fire dragon beast egg. Jun Changxiao collapsed, I must have bought a fake. The system said, host, change it again and try using a high-level crystal core. No way. Jun Changxiao's mouth twitched, that's quite precious. Using it to incubate a fire dragon beast egg, isn't it a bit of a loss? The system said, you can't catch a wolf without sacrificing the child. Maybe the host is lucky and can hatch a kun. Damn. Jun Changxiao said, you've watched too many commercials. However, thinking about the Tao Realm kun, Demon kun, and Tribulation Crossing Bone kun, he suddenly felt a little excited. Come. Jun Changxiao drew back the energy of the crystal core again. He took out 10 high-level crystal cores and poured them all in. The light came on again. Jun Changxiao rubbed his hands and placed them on the round button. Just like the voice of China coach, he was making a difficult decision whether to press the button or not. The student's dream turned around. Huff, huff. In an instant, the incubator spewed out a type of spiritual energy, which instantly occupied the interior and completely enveloped the dragon egg. Beep. Beep. A soft sound rang, and the LED screen on the chassis showed the words incubation time, 0/15 days. Mutation rate, 1/100. Jun Changxiao's mouth twitched, is this mutation rate 1/100? That's right, the system said. Jun Changxiao said frantically, what's the difference between this and not mutating? Even if he sucked in luck for a while, he did not think that a 1/100 chance of mutating the dragon egg. The system said, if you want to increase the mutation rate, you can pour in crystal core energy during the incubation process. How much? Jun Changxiao asked. The system said, the host has to find out the specifics yourself. Okay. Jun Changxiao took out a middle-level crystal core that he had just collected and poured the energy into the groove. There was no reaction. He continued to pour in the remaining 9 crystals, and the mutation rate finally jumped from 1 to 2. Jun Changshao broke down, 10 middle-level crystals can only increase it by 1 point. To reach 100%, I still need 980 crystals. If it was a lower-level crystal core, not to mention 980, even if it was 10,000, he would not feel the pinch. But with so many middle-level crystals, the price was very expensive. To invest so much for an egg, was it worth it? The system said, if the host doesn't spend a single cent, there won't even be a chance of failure. How can the coin hatch then? Chapter 247. If the host doesn't spend a single cent, he won't even have the chance to fail. How can he hatch a Leviathan? This sentence was like a sharp sword, ruthlessly stabbing into Jun Changxiao's heart. It was so painful that he hurriedly covered his chest. That's right. Not spending money and still wanting a Leviathan? That would probably only appear in advertisements or in dreams. Isn't it just spending money? Jun Changxiao said, it's not like I don't have it. His temper flared. He picked out 51st-grade crystal nuclei from his interspatial ring and filled them all in. The mutation rate increased from 2 to 3. Not bad. 51st-grade crystal nuclei only increased by 1 point. Fuck. Jun Changxiao collapsed. Isn't it supposed to increase by 1 point from 10? How did it become 50? The system said, if the host wants to increase it to 4 points, I'm afraid you'll need to fill in 100 nuclei. That's too much money. Jun Changxiao went crazy. Although he had money, he couldn't afford to spend double the amount of crystal nuclei. The system said, the host can try using higher-grade crystal nuclei instead of using lower-grade crystal nuclei. Jun Changxiao was about to cry. Higher-grade crystal nuclei were expensive. Even if it could increase the mutation rate, the cost would also increase. Forget it, forget it. Since he had thrown in so many crystal nuclei, he definitely couldn't give up. He had to at least increase it to 50% or more. In order to get a chance to make a mistake, Sect leader Jun got carried away and took out 10 fifth-grade crystal nuclei. After filling in all of them, the mutation rate increased from 3 to 4. However, to increase from 4 to 5, he used 55th-grade crystal nuclei. Jun Changxiao's mouth twitched. To let a fire dragon egg mutate, the money spent is more than the money spent by the Chinese online and mobile game manufacturers. The system urged, since you've taken this step, the host shouldn't give up halfway. Go and splurge boldly. Jun Changxiao was speechless. The system continued, only a higher-grade crystal nuclei can start the incubation. This dragon egg is definitely extraordinary. If it mutates, the host's benefits will be greater than the cost. These words made Jun Changxiao's heart palpitate. Then, he took out the crystal cores again and began to crazily fill the slots of the incubator with energy. Other than the high-ranked crystal nuclei that had not been used for the time being, all the low-ranked crystal nuclei and mid-ranked crystal nuclei were transported inside. In the end, there were only a few dozen high-quality crystal nuclei left in the spatial ring. All the low and mid-quality crystal nuclei had been sent in, and there were at least 600 to 700 of them. Mutation rate increased from 5 to 10. Almost 1,000 crystallic nuclei were used, but it only increased by 9%. This made Jun Changxiao deeply understand what it meant to burn money. One had to know. Selling 500 crystal cores to the AI family's patriarch was worth 10 million. These nearly 1,000 crystal nuclei were worth at least 20 million at the very least, but he burned them all in a short while. Calm down, calm down. Jun Changxiao took a deep breath and said, this is a bottomless pit. We can't fill it up anymore. He really wanted to give up, but he couldn't control his hands at all. In the end, he sent in all the high-ranked crystal nuclei, including the fire dragon's crystal nuclei and the stone golem's crystal nuclei. When the crystal nuclei that were comparable to Wuzong fused into the incubator, the mutation rate on the screen continued to rise. However, when the fire dragon's crystal nuclei were poured in, it directly increased from 22 to 72. It increased by a full 50 points. Jun Changshao was shocked. What's going on? The system was silent for a moment before saying, if I'm not wrong, the fire dragon's crystal nuclei and the dragon egg's attributes are compatible, which greatly stimulated the mutation rate. Jun Changshao seemed to have understood something, and said, you mean, if the dragon egg is incubated with the dragon's crystal nuclei, the mutation rate will be higher than other crystal nuclei? It should be like this. The system said. Jun Changshao said, I just poured in a lot of young fire dragon's crystal nuclei, why didn't it increase by that much? Maybe the level is too low. Jun Changshao exhaled, and he completely calmed down. He was not at all worried right now, because he had thrown in all the crystal nuclei. Paw! With both hands on the transparent glass-like surface of the incubator, Jun Changshao said in a deep tone, I used up all of my crystal nuclei, the operation must fail to hatch the koan. The system said, I feel that, with the host's luck in refreshing the contribution points, it will be safe to reach at least 99%. Otherwise, if it fails, the crystal nuclei that were thrown in will all flow to the west. Jun Changshao did not care if it flowed to the west or east, and said, you mean, I still have to spend money to buy crystal nuclei to continue incubating? Yes. Do you know how much those crystal nuclei cost? Do you know that even if I exchange all the money on me for crystal nuclei, it's impossible to increase it to 99%? Facing Jun Changshao's continuous questioning, the system said calmly, if the host incubates a Dao Realm Kuan, Demon Kuan, Tribulation Bone Kuan, or the strongest beast in the mountain and sea scripture that feeds on Kuan, everything will be worth it. After a long time, Jun Changshao said, that makes sense. The next day, Jun Changshao went to Huyang City and found Ai Shangyao. The first thing he said was, Jun wants to buy back the crystal nuclei that he sold previously at the original price. Ai Shangyao was dumbfounded. Sold and then bought back, what kind of operation was Sect leader Jun? Of course. Jun Changshao said, if your shop has anything related to dragon beasts, please sell it to Jun if it's of the 5th grade or higher. Ai Shangyao's mouth twitched. Sect leader Jun, crystal nuclei related to dragon beasts are extremely rare, and they have to be of the 5th grade. Not to mention Azure Sun County, even the 8th grade Pingyang County might not have them. Which county has them? Jun Changshao asked. Ai Shangyao said, in the Falling Star continent, as long as there is something with the word dragon, it is a rare treasure. I'm afraid that only the 5th grade counties sell it. How long will it take to reach the 5th grade county closest to our Azure Sun County? Jun Changshao asked. If you ride a wind-type beast, it will take at least a month. Ai Shangyao said. A month? Jun Changshao was on the verge of collapse. Wind-type beasts were known for their speed. If it took a month, he didn't think that he could reach there in 15 days riding on the Violet Lightning Tiger Cub. Forget it, forget it. I'll just buy back the crystal nuclei I sold and spend 20 million to buy some other high-grade crystal nuclei. The crystal nuclei shop run by the AI family didn't have many high-grade crystal nuclei. Jun Changshao only bought 20 or so high-grade crystal nuclei. Hence, he went to other crystal nuclei shops. In the end, he visited all the crystal nuclei shops in the market and only sold 50 or so high-grade crystal nuclei. However, he spent more than 20 million. Crystal nuclei that were comparable to Wuzong started at 400,000. That's all I can do. It's up to fate whether I can get them cheaper or not. Jun Changshao didn't go to other cities and returned to the sect. Coincidentally, he met Long Xiang at the martial arts field. In the Falling Star continent, anything with the word dragon is a rare treasure. AI family head's words sounded in his ears. Jun Changshao almost couldn't hold back. He wanted to carry this disciple with the surname Long to the incubator and test it with his blood. Sigh. I'm about to go crazy. Jun Changshao shook his head and got up to return to the inner court. Long Xiang said with a blank face, Sect Master's gaze was a bit strange just now. How can he not be strange when he almost bled you? After returning to the study, Jun Changshao threw in all the crystal nuclei worth 30 million. The mutation rate increased from 72 to 85. He really wanted to continue increasing it to 100 points, but his ability was limited. He could only bow to fate helplessly. Moreover, 85% was already very high. It couldn't be a coincidence that it failed, right? Thinking back to the time when he played games, he failed to refine the equipment even when the success rate was higher than 95%. Sect Master Jun trembled. Chapter 248. When it reached 85 points, Jun Changshao gave up on putting in more crystal nuclei. There was no other way. He only had 10 to 20 million left. If he invested all of it, he would probably only be able to increase it by 1 or 2 points. The rest was up to fate. Even if it was only 1%, there was still a possibility of mutation. But he still worked hard to increase the mutation rate. He wanted to prove that he was not relying on the protagonist's aura, but on burning money. What if it failed? If it still failed at 85%, it would be a joke. I only failed 15 times out of 100, and won 5 times out of 10. I shouldn't be so unlucky. Jun Changshao comforted himself. The system said, if the host's mutation rate is 1.5 times, it will definitely be a complete failure. Damn. Can you not hurt me? Jun Changshao ignored it and quietly waited for the incubation time to arrive. Only 1 day had passed, and there were still 14 days left. It was a little long, so he put his mind on cultivation and managing the disciples. The next day, Su Xiaoma returned from participating in the intersect competition in the outer counties. He left clean, but came back covered in dust. It was obvious that he had rushed back too quickly. The disciples hurriedly gathered around. When they saw the champion's medal around their senior brother's neck, they immediately cheered. The 2 senior brothers went to different counties and won first place consecutively. This definitely boosted the morale of the Iron Bone disciples, and filled them with hope for the future. Su Xiaoma went to see the sect leader and handed over the champion's reward. He would not hide it, because without the sect leader's nurturing, he would not be where he was today, and it would not be easy for him to win the championship. Of course, Jun Changshao would not treat him unfairly. He gave Su Xiaoma 10 spirit stones. He saved the rest and gave them to the other disciples as rewards for various tests. In the next few days, Li Fei and Tian Qi also returned one after another. The 2 did not disappoint the sect leader. They successfully won the championship of various competitions and obtained considerable martial arts resources. Although the inner disciples that Jun Changshao nurtured were only martial disciples, their strength had already reached martial master. Except for high-level competitions, they were definitely invincible in those low-level intersect competitions. There was no suspense at all. Qingyang and the other 3 brought a total of 100 spiritual stones. Although it's not a lot, it's still something. Jun Changshao was quite satisfied with the idea of letting his disciples participate in various sect competitions to earn resources. It was a pity. There were too few competitions, so the continuity was poor. Strange. Jun Changshao rubbed his chin and said, "Why hasn't Zoeji returned yet?" The 5 inner disciples had all completed their missions and returned, except for Xiao Ziji. Could it be? Was the martial arts competition very difficult? Sect leader. At this moment, Li Luoqiu hurriedly walked into the main hall and said, "There's news from Heian County." Xiao Ziji won the intersect tournament, and on his way back, he was blocked by a large group of experts in the forest. "The situation is very bad, we need to rescue him quickly." Jun Changshao frowned. No wonder he hadn't returned yet. He had been blocked. How many? At least 100. There's no lack of experts in Wuzong among them. Jun Changshao was silent for a while and said, "Gather the Drizzle Hall members and follow me to Heian County to rescue him." Yes. Li Luoqiu hurriedly left and gathered all the Drizzle Hall members in the sect. According to Jun Changxiao's instructions, the other disciples continued to cultivate. However, when they walked out of the main hall, they saw Li Qingyang, Su Xiaoma, and the others standing at the front of the martial arts practice field. Their faces were solemn. They had received the news that junior brother Xiao was blocked in Heian County. "You're going too?" Jun Changxiao asked. Li Qingyang said, "Junior brother is in trouble. We're willing to go and rescue him." "All right." Jun Changxiao said, "Let's go." The other disciples also wanted to go and rescue senior brother Xiao, but they knew that their strength was limited. Not only would they be useless, but they would also slow down the rescue. Therefore, they could only watch the sect leader and the others leave and pray that they could return safely. Whoosh! 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 On the way to Heian County, more than 50 Drizzle Hall members used Ghost Leap and sped forward. "Damn it!" Li Tian also followed and said angrily, "How dare they bully our Iron Bone disciples?" After experiencing the destruction of Black Eagle Hall, the childish look on this kid's face had faded. He had also become more mature. Because they were going to rescue senior brother Xiao, everyone increased their speed to the maximum. Jun Changxiao rode on the young violet lightning tiger at the front. The coldness in his eyes became more and more intense. Although he did not know why so many martial artists were blocking Xiao Ziji, since they dared to offend the Iron Bone, they must be severely punished. Li Qingyang and Su Xiaoma followed closely behind. They were also very worried about junior brother Xiao, so they increased their speed until they could not go any faster. "Junior brother Xiao, you must hold on until we arrive." Heian County was at least 1,000 miles away from Qingyang County. Normally, it would take at least 2 to 3 days to reach there. However, Jun Changxiao and his disciples arrived at Heian County at the fastest speed. By dusk, they had already arrived at Heian County. Li Luoqiu stood in the wilderness and looked around. After confirming the markings left by the members, she pointed to the east and said, "Sect Master, it should be in this direction. Let's go." Jun Changxiao led his disciples in the east direction. In a dark corner of a valley, Xiao Ziji tore a piece of cloth from his clothes and wrapped it around his wrist with sword marks. Then, he raised his Type 88 sniper rifle with a cold gaze. His face was pale. It seemed that he not only had external injuries, but also internal injuries. After participating in the Heian County's intersect tournament, Xiao Ziji originally wanted to return to the sect. However, he was stopped by the martial artists of the various sections. Reason? They were too heavy-handed and injured their own disciples. In fact, during the tournament, the disciples of the various sects were even more ruthless because they despised Xiao Ziji for coming from an 8th-rate sect in a 9th-rate county. The various sects of Heian County did not care about this. As long as their disciples were bullied, the perpetrator must pay the price and be severely punished. "Kid!" Suddenly, a loud voice came from the valley, "You are now trapped in the valley. Give up struggling and obediently show yourself and hand over the God-powered handgun. Maybe you can still live." Xiao Ziji set up his Type 88 sniper rifle and aimed at the direction of the sound through the 8x scope. He found that there were more than 10 martial artists of the various sects standing there. He pulled the trigger again. Xiao the bullet silently shot out and directly killed a peak martial disciple. Then, he carried the gun and quickly moved away. "He's there. Damn it, hurry up and chase. Using hidden weapons to kill so many of our people. If we catch him, we must cut him into 8 pieces." The martial artists of the various sects all rushed over. Unfortunately, Xiao Ziji had a lot of experience in fighting in the wilderness. After shooting one person, he hid very well again. This forced them to continue to search and be even more vigilant. The valley was not big. As the crowd continued to shrink the encirclement, the area became smaller and smaller. Xiao Ziji, who had already killed many people of the various sects, knew that he would be discovered sooner or later. So, he set up his Type 88 sniper rifle again. He would kill as many as he could. even if he died, it would not be a loss. Who? Suddenly, the sound of wind breaking came from behind him. A strong force swept over. Not good. Xiao Ziji's face changed. He hurriedly retracted his gun and dodged. However, he was still one step too late. A fist with strong spiritual power directly hit his back. Pang! He flew out and hit the stone wall. The person who attacked him from behind was a middle-aged man in white clothes. His whole body emitted a Wuzong aura. He said lightly, "For a junior to be able to hide for so long, it's very good." Wah! Xiao Ziji struggled to stand up. A mouthful of blood spurted out. "En?" The middle-aged man said in surprise, "To be able to stand up after withstanding my 200,000 pounds of strength, this is even more commendable." Xiao Ziji opened his blood-stained mouth and laughed, Don't look down on me." Shwa! The middle-aged man instantly approached and said proudly, "I would like to see how strong a disciple of the Iron Bone clan can be." The shadow of the fist instantly filled the air and mercilessly attacked Xiao Ziji. Pang! 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 Chapter 249. Boom! Xiao Ziji slammed heavily into the stone wall, blood spurting out. In a short moment, he had endured more than 20 punches from Wuzong, each punch was no less than 100,000. But he still staggered and did not fall. This was the Iron Bone clan's disciple. Even if he was attacked by a storm, even if he was heavily injured, he still had to show an iron bone. Patriarch Liao is Wuzong, he can still stand, this kid's body is too strong. No wonder he won the competition. Unfortunately, no matter how strong the body is, it can't withstand strong power. The martial artists from various sects who were searching nearby gathered and witnessed the scene of Xiao Ziji being bombarded. They were all surprised that he could still stand. Not bad, not bad. Patriarch Liao said, "To be able to take so many punches from me and still be standing, you're really a good seedling." Xiao Ziji's face was ferocious, the heart-wrenching pain spread throughout his body, making him unable to open his mouth to speak. If it wasn't for the experience in the training tower, he would have collapsed long ago. "Little guy," Patriarch Liao said lightly, "leave the Iron Bone and join my Qishan sect, you can avoid death." Qishan sect. A sixth-rate sect in Heian County. In terms of overall strength and number of disciples, they were stronger than Haoqi sect. This middle-aged man called Liao Cun Fong was the patriarch of Qishan sect. His strength was second-grade Wuzong, which was also stronger than Qin Haoran. "Leave the Iron Bone." Hearing the first sentence, Xiao Zuiji began to grin in pain. He suppressed his injuries and said weakly, "In life, I'm a member of the Iron Bone clan, in death I'm a ghost of the Iron Bone clan. Kid, Qishan sect has the potential to become a fifth-rate sect, such a good opportunity is hard to find. Your Iron Bone is only an eighth-rate sect, participating in the sect competition, even the sect leader didn't follow, why are you so dead set? A fine bird chooses a tree to nest in, you should understand this principle." Everyone acted as a lobbyist. However, when these words entered Xiao Ziji's ears, it only made him laugh even harder. There was no denying it. The situation was very dangerous now. But leaving the Iron Bone and changing allegiance, even death was not an option. Shwa! Liao Zuanfang raised his hand. Under the convergence of his spiritual energy, he grabbed the Type 88 sniper rifle that had fallen not far away. Everyone was envious. Only Wuzong, who had a higher understanding of the nature of heaven and earth, could use his spiritual energy to retrieve objects from a distance. Liao Cun Fong played with the sniper rifle and said indifferently, "Joining the Qishan sect will save you from death, but not joining the Qishan sect will only result in death." His voice was arrogant, and he had the demeanor of an expert. Xiao Ziji's eyes did not show the slightest bit of fear. Instead, he said decisively, "I'm not joining." Everyone sneered. "I gave you a chance to live, but you didn't know how to cherish it. You can't blame others for your death." There were also martial artists from other sects who felt that it was a pity. After all, it was a bit of a waste to kill such a good seedling. If that's the case, Liao Xiuanfang said coldly, you've killed so many of my Qishan sect's disciples. Go to hell. After he finished speaking, he took a step forward and punched out with his right fist. His strength rose sharply, but it was still more than 200,000. Whoosh whoosh. A strong wind blew and messed up Xiao Ziji's black hair, but his pale face was unusually calm. This was daring to face death. Shwa! At this moment, a black shadow flew out from the dark. Although the speed was fast, it was caught by Liao Xiuanfang. His fist suddenly turned and punched at the incoming person. Bang! The fist that carried 200,000 pounds of strength was like a sharp sword, directly penetrating the black shadow's chest. Blood immediately splashed out. Junior brother. Xiao Ziji's eyes were about to pop out. The black shadow that suddenly rushed out from the dark was the Drizzle Hall member who was responsible for protecting him. Senior brother. Hurry. Leave. The assassin disciple breathed his last breath as soon as he finished speaking. Ah! Xiao Ziji roared angrily and gathered the remaining strength in his body to punch at Liao Xiuanfang. He was going all out. Unfortunately, he couldn't beat Wuzong when he was healthy, let alone now when he was seriously injured. Therefore, when his fist returned, it was swept away by the opponent's palm. Boom! He fiercely crashed into the stone wall and fell down. He no longer had the strength to support himself to stand up. After receiving so many punches, his injury was too serious. Liao Xiuanfang threw the corpse away and then took out a tissue to wipe his blood-stained hands. He looked around and said lightly, so there are still people hiding in the dark. As soon as he said that, everyone hurriedly became alert. The other Drizzle Hall members who were hiding in the dark all clenched their fists when they saw their comrade being killed. Their eyes flashed with monstrous anger. As a qualified assassin, when the opponent was very strong, the first thing to do was to retreat. However, they wouldn't retreat and they couldn't retreat. Because today's identity was no longer an assassin, but a Drizzle Hall member of the Iron Bone clan. Shwa! A member couldn't help but rush out. He didn't attack, but exposed himself and fled in another direction. This was to attract the enemy's attention and fight for a chance for senior brother Xiao to escape. The martial artists from various sects locked onto that member and sent more than 10 people to chase after him. If he continued to hide, it would be difficult for them to do anything to him. However, if he took the initiative to expose himself, he would soon be caught and captured. Plop! That member was thrown in front of Liao Xiuanfang. Liao Xiuanfang stepped on his back with one foot. He looked at Xiao Ziji and said lightly, "This should be your junior brother too, right?" Xiao Ziji turned his face to the side. Seeing his junior brother being stepped on like this, anger filled his face and he looked ferocious. You guessed right. Liao Xiuanfang got the answer he wanted from his expression. He then gently lifted his foot and said, "He killed so many of my men. Let's use him to pay for his life first." Shwa! 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 At this moment, the other 3 members hiding in the dark couldn't hold it in anymore. Even though they knew that they would be exposed, they still threw out their hidden weapons. Liao Xiuanfang raised his hand and froze all the flying hidden weapons. Then, he put his 5 fingers together and condensed them in an instant. Find all the flies in the dark. Okay. The martial artists from various sects rushed in the direction of the hidden weapons. Bang! Liao Xiuanfang lifted his foot and kicked the captured member in front of Xiao Ziji. Then, he walked over step by step. Like a king looking down at 2 weak ants, he said, "Since we're from the same sect, we'll die together. Then, we won't be lonely on the road." As he spoke, he lifted his foot. Whoosh! His spiritual energy gathered, and his strength gradually increased. He only used about 50,000 kilograms of strength. But with Xiao Ziji's condition and the strength of that member, as long as he was stepped on, he would definitely die. Let's go. Liao Cunfang stepped down. His target was precisely that member of Drizzle Hall. No. Xiao Ziji's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. He really wanted to use his body to block the attack for his junior brother, but he was too badly injured to move an inch. Roar! At this moment, a deafening roar of a ferocious beast suddenly came from behind. The heart-wrenching screams of the martial artists from various sects were also heard. Liao Cunfang's foot stopped. He didn't look behind him. Instead, he raised his head in surprise, because there was a cold killing intent coming down from above. It was unknown when Jun Changshao had appeared on top of the mountain wall. He held the green dragon crescent blade in one hand. His face was filled with monstrous killing intent as he said in a cold voice, "Move your feet away. This king will give you a decent death." Chapter 250. At the critical moment, Jun Changshao followed the marks he left on the road and rushed to the valley. He could not suppress the anger in his heart. Because when he got close to the dead Drizzle Hall members, he heard the news that the sect had lost members. "How dare you kill my disciple? No matter who you are or what your identity is, you must die." Of course. Death was also particular. Was it a clean death or a painful death? If the middle-aged man below retracted his foot and gave him a clean death, if he insisted on stepping down, then he would die a painful death. Sect. Sect Master, Xiao Ziji called out weakly, his eyes filled with joy. The Sect Master was here. Junior brother was safe. At this time, Xiao Ziji was not concerned about himself, but the Drizzle Hall members. Seeing that his precious disciple had suffered such a serious injury, Jun Changshao's eyes were filled with killing intent. Even if the guy below was a god or an immortal, he would die. Was he not afraid of offending people? Under normal circumstances, Jun Changshao would choose to keep a low profile, such as sparing the Ghost Hand sect elder. But at this moment, there was only killing intent in his heart. Dragons had reverse scales, those who touched it would die. Jun Changshao's reverse scales were his precious disciples. Not to mention killing, even if they hurt a strand of hair, they would have to pay a painful price. Hearing Xiao Ziji's words, Liao Cunfang said indifferently, "You are the sect master of the 8th-rate Ironbone sect?" While he was talking, his foot did not move. This made Jun Changshao's heart set a death sentence, and he would die a painful death. Perhaps because the other party was also a sect master, Liao Cunfang retracted his foot. But because he was half a beat slower, he could not prevent his painful death. "Just nice." Liao Cunfang said indifferently, "I like your disciple. Let him join my Qishan sect." His words showed that he did not put Jun Changshao in his eyes at all. Not to mention the Ironbone sect master, even if Qin Haran who held 2 positions came, he would still be high and mighty. This was not showing off, nor was it some brainless villain. Instead, it was because he was strong, so he naturally had to act like a strong person. Could it be that he had to bow his head and serve the weak? "If I take a fancy to him, he'll become your disciple." Jun Changshao said indifferently, "You're really arrogant." Liao Cunfang said, "Give him to me, and the grudge between us will be written off." He really admired Xiao Ziji. If he could pull Xiao Ziji into his sect, he definitely wouldn't be willing to kill him. Unfortunately, it was destined to be one-sided. Even if Jun Changshao really gave Xiao Ziji to him, he would never tolerate the death of his disciple. Therefore, he raised his saber and said coldly, "Write off our grudges. Seduce my ass." Liao Cunfang frowned slightly and said, "Your Excellency is the sect leader, but your mouth is full of vulgar words. You have no manners at all. You killed my men and you still want to talk to me about manners? Ha ha ha." Jun Changshao laughed. Suddenly, his gaze became as cold and sharp as a saber. Then, he leaped and swung his saber down. Who? The strength of this slash was at least 300,000 kilograms or more. It was obvious that he had already crushed the strength increase talisman. Liao Cun Fong, who was originally indifferent, suddenly became serious when he felt the powerful saber wind. He stretched out one of his palms and shouted, "Firmament palm." Hoo-hoo! Spiritual energy burst out from his palm, forming a cloud-like airwave and quickly condensing into a palm print to meet it. Jun Changxiao's straight slash was very powerful, so he didn't dare to be careless and directly used the high-grade high-rank palm technique that he had comprehended for many years. Hoo! Hoo-hoo! The green dragon crescent blade formed a green saber light, and its strength was still rising steadily, finally soaring to 400,000 kilograms. What did it mean? Only Wuzong with good spiritual root aptitude could have such strength. And it had to be at least 5th grade. Liao Cun Fong had a high-grade spiritual root, which belonged to the upper middle Wuzong. Although it was only 2nd grade, with the support of the firmament palm, his strength could reach about 230,000 kilograms. This was undoubtedly very excellent. Unfortunately, in front of Jun Changxiao's saber. Completely. Not enough. Break for me. Jun Changxiao shouted coldly. The green saber light pressed down fiercely, directly cutting the illusory palm print, and the remaining power didn't decrease. How is it possible? Liao Cun Fong's face changed, but there was no time for him to be shocked, and he hurriedly used his body movement to dodge. Boom! As soon as he moved, the powerful saber chi had already cut the ground, instantly showing a saber mark about 1 meter long. Crack, crack, crack. The ground at the end of the saber mark quickly cracked and spread forward, and finally broke into 5 or 6 meters. The 400,000 kilogram saber seemed to be cutting the ground in this area. Although Liao Cun Fong barely dodged, when he saw the saber mark on the ground, his back was suddenly covered in cold sweat. He didn't doubt that if the saber had cut him just now, he would have been cut in half on the spot. This Iron Bones sect leader looked like a 6th grade or 7th grade martial master. How could he burst out such a terrifying strength? Could it be that he was hiding his cultivation? I'll go alone. Jun Changxiao, who had just landed, rushed over with his saber. The green dragon crescent moon saber suddenly swept over halfway, and a green flowing light burst out. It was also 400,000 kilograms of strength. Liao Cun Fong still had lingering fear, and he didn't dare to fight head-on, so he hurriedly used his body movement to dodge. Although he could barely dodge, when the saber light swept past him, he was still covered in cold sweat. In front of absolute strength, Xiao Ziji could only be severely injured and fall to the ground. Now, facing the Iron Bones sect leader who was stronger than him, he also seemed to be much weaker. High and mighty. He had already flown away without a trace. Swoosh! Jun Changxiao dragged his saber over. This time, he used Ghost Leap and increased his speed to the extreme. While Liao Cun Fong just stabilized his body, he shouted, "Water drowns the 7 armies." Whoosh! The green saber light swept over. Not good. Liao Cun Fong's expression changed. He wanted to dodge, but just as he leaned sideways, the saber light was close to the tip of his nose and fiercely cut his right arm. Poochie! Where the saber light passed, his arm flew out. Because the speed of the saber was too fast and the strength was too strong, the split wound didn't immediately spurt out blood. Swoosh! Jun Changxiao appeared behind Liao Cun Fong like a ghost. Poochie! The saber light flashed again, and another arm flew out. At this time, the wound on Liao Cun Fong's right arm began to spurt blood, and an intense pain rushed to his sea of consciousness, causing his expression to become ferocious. Xiao Ziji watched from his angle, and his eyes were wide open. A Wuzong had his arms chopped off by the sect leader in just a few moves. This was too shocking. But it wasn't over yet. Warm wine slaying Hua Xiong. Jun Changxiao held the green dragon crescent moon blade and fiercely swept across from his lower body. Whoosh! The green saber light directly slashed across Liao Cun Fong's knees, and suddenly a thin crack appeared. Ah! A heart-wrenching scream resounded in the valley, causing the wild beasts in the mountains to flee, and their eyes were filled with intense fear. What kind of pain did a human have to go through to let out such a miserable cry? Plop! Liao Cun Fong's legs were broken from the knees, and he fell straight to the ground with a ferocious expression. The piercing pain fiercely attacked his sea of consciousness and scalp. Swoosh! 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 The green saber light flashed, and it was close to the skin and flesh. Chopping off the arms and legs, and then cutting off the flesh piece by piece, this was the way the patriarch of the sixth-rate Qishan sect died. P.S. I've been busy recently, so I've been updating twice for the past 2 days. Today, I'll update 4 times, and I'll continue tomorrow. Oh right, I'll update in the morning. I can't take it anymore, so I have to sleep. I really don't have the energy to write, so I'll update as I write tomorrow.